Okay. What about Sonic Shuffle?
Can't like that game.
Okay, what about Sonic Heroes?
That game wasn't bad, just kind of mediocre.
Shadow the Hedgehog?
Can't record that one.
Sonic Riders?
Can't record that one either.
Oh, I know. What about Sonic 06?
Nope, I already reviewed it.
Oh, come on. You know you're not done with that game.
Nope, I seriously already reviewed that one.
Darkness, let's be realistic about this. You want to review Sonic 06 again? We both know it's true.
Already been done, not doing it.
But you have to, Darkness. It is your reason for being, isn't it?
The hell are you babbling about?
It is the only reason you even review games. It is the only reason that you are as you are.
Okay, that's not true at all, for the record.
Well, if you don't want to review it, I understand. I'll just not mention it again if you want.
Give me the game.
No, really, you don't have to review it. I'll just get rid of it for you.
I said, give me the fucking game. Many of you are probably wondering why we're back to this again. And quite frankly, I wouldn't blame you. You'd think that 3 times would be more than enough for me to get this done, but no, I just haven't been able to feel gratified with anything. You know, I never feel like I've said enough. It's one of those weird things, you know. And no joke, and I mean this wholeheartedly, Sonic 06 is probably the worst game I've ever played in my life. And that's not necessarily from a mechanics perspective, because there's a lot of games that I've played in my time as a reviewer on YouTube, like Superman 64, for example. Way freaking worse in almost every regard. But the thing about Sonic 06, especially when it comes to me, it's not so much that the game is bad. I mean, it is the stuff of legends. But it's not just that, it's freaking offensive. Like anyone, if you've ever, been invested in a series over, years and just watched it all just come crashing down, I mean, it hurts me as a gamer, as a fan of Sonic, as someone who's been with the series since I've started gaming. But I'm sure many of you are probably wondering what exactly was wrong with my other reviews of it. Well, the first one just sucked. It just wasn't that good to begin with. It was rushed. It wasn't even using my own footage, and it spent way too much time talking about voice acting for some reason. The second review was actually way better, and for a while I liked it a lot, but I just didn't feel like I'd gone into enough detail. There was more I wanted to do, and then I did this co-op thing with my friend Nick, and a lot of people say, oh, that puts the cap on it, right? Well, no, on the basis that whole thing was really rushed and kind of half-assed in a way. I would almost go so far as to say that Nick really wasn't as into it as I was. It was just us talking on a Skype chat, and overall, it just didn't go. It wasn't what I wanted it to be. So this time I'm doing it alone again, and this time I'm not going to screw it up. See, I have a plan of attack here. My plan is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and I'm going to talk about this. This review is going to be 4 parts, right? One part is going to be the Sonic story, one part is going to be the Shadow story, and one part is going to be the Silver story, and the last part is going to be the final story. It's all going to be broken down into 4 different parts, all in great detail, so that there's very, very, very small chance that I will miss anything, and hopefully, with any luck, by the time this is over, I will never have to talk about this game ever again. Okay, so let's clear something up. A lot of people don't seem to understand just how hyped up this game was. It really was amazing at the time. See, this was before I was even on YouTube. This was before I was doing my game reviews. This was back during my old forum days when I was on Sonic message boards all day just talking with people. And when this game was announced, believe me, the hype drew through the roof. For the first time since the Dreamcast era, I would say, people who weren't Sonic fans were excited for a Sonic game. And that shit just didn't happen. Sonic 06, the initial trailers made the game look so impressive, people were absolutely stoked. And the forums were abuzz with fan theories and conjecture, just discussing what the game was going to be like, the plot, the different characters, and just everything. It was phenomenal, really. People were actually getting along and discussing how the game was going to come together. Everyone was excited. And then the game came out. There are many theories as to what the fuck happened, but most of them I find to be utter bullshit. Like, I've heard the theory that it was Sony that pushed Sega to release the game so they'd have it for their holiday launch. And I've also heard that it was Microsoft doing the same thing. And I find both those theories to be absolutely bullshit because neither company has any weight when it comes to telling Sega when to release their games. It's not like they're funding them or anything. This was Sega's call all around. And I've also heard a story that Sega fired all their game testers for telling them the game was bad, which I could actually kind of believe. Personally, I think the thing that went wrong is if we look throughout history, Sega hates, and I mean hates, delaying games. They just don't do it. Ever. And I think this was one of those cases where, even though the game was unfinished, they straight up wouldn't delay it anymore. This game is going out because this is Sega, and that's how we roll. And I think that that's what happened here. I don't think development went bad. I don't think there was any arguments on the team. I don't even think it had anything to do with funding or anything like that. I think it's just Sega wanted it out at a certain point, and the game just didn't come together quick enough. And Sega didn't give a fuck. And it's funny, actually. After the game was launched, it's like the Sonic community went through this weird denial phase about it. I remember on the forums, people were like, "Hey, I just started playing Sonic 06, and it's okay, this part was really cool, right? Yeah, that part was great!" Sorta. It was, like, for the first, 5 months, I'd say, people were just so confused and bewildered by what they were playing. Meanwhile, of course, professional game review sites slammed the game, and honestly, I can't say I blame them. Some of them weren't harsh enough! But you don't care about any of this, do you? You want me to talk about the game. Yeah, I kind of figured that. Alright, as I said, we're going into this very detailed. This is going to be 4 parts long. This is just the first part. And let's just jump right into this, shall we? Alright, so once you select the Sonic story, the game opens up in this really impressive cinematic. And I gotta say, some of the cinematics, not all, but some of them, are very nicely detailed, especially for the time. It looks good, but let me ask you this. Does this look like a Sonic game to you right now? I mean, I'm being serious. No, I believe is the answer. It just doesn't look at all like what you'd expect from a Sonic title. It looks like a JRPG, to be perfectly realistic. Like, what was the point of this? Why would you risk alienating fans? I mean, I guess they wanted to do something different and make the series feel fresher, and that's fine, but why would you ever, start up a game, and have nothing at all be familiar? There's some kind of weird sun festival where these people are worshipping their god Solaris or something weird. And honestly, the cutscene gets rather dull until finally Eggman shows up and starts blowing shit up with his egg carrier. And by the way, you made 3 of those now. Can you come up with something different, bro? It's the egg carrier again. Motherfucker comes down, his robots don't look anything like robots before, but okay, fine, redesign, whatever. We'll talk more on that later. And he's like, I need the Flames of Disaster from you, and I need the Chaos Emerald. And just so we're clear, I'm well aware of the Chaos Emerald plot hole. Oh, I know. You don't have to remind me, because we're going to talk about that later, when it really comes into play, and why the very fact that this princess has this emerald is a huge, gaping hole in the entire series. We're not going to talk about it now, though, because that would waste time, and we really have to get into this. But I just want you all to know that I know. Alright? Sonic shows up, and he's all like, yeah, And Elise is like, hey, you look like this other guy that I know, even though Sonic looks nothing like him. And Sonic saves everybody because he's Sonic, and by everybody I mean he saves the princess, even though Eggman shot a bunch of missiles and probably killed at least a couple hundred people, but that's not important. And I like how Eggman wants to take the princess alive with the Chaos Emerald and all that, yet he's perfectly keen to just straight up shoot missiles at them. You know, really not giving a shit. And as soon as this cutscene ends, we're thrown into the main game engine, and Jesus Christ, what a fucking downgrade. You know, early trailers made the in-game graphics actually look pretty good, but when you actually play the game, you realize that in-game, it just doesn't look that great. It just doesn't. It looks bland and almost lifeless. Characters don't even move properly. Physics don't seem to work correctly. Like, there's a lot of basic aspects of 3D animation here that aren't applied, and I can't get over that. As someone who went to school for this shit, come on. I don't get it. It's not just a texture issue. It's an animation issue. It doesn't flow well. It looks clunky. Anyway, somehow, Eggman captures the princess again. Yeah, I know. Counting gag. Let it go, alright? It's important. And Sonic's like, don't worry, I'll save you.
I know. I know.
You know.
I know.
You have not known this guy 5 minutes, and yet you know he'll save you. You know. The writing here only gets worse, people.
I know.
Anyway, Eggman runs off and Sonic decides to give chase. But no! That's not give chase immediately. Let's waste my fucking time. This is where I started getting really fucking mad, because the game doesn't start out, you know, with some heart-pounding action, you know, throwing you right into the best level of the game. No, because that's what the previous Sonic games did. That's what almost every Sonic game prior to this did. Particularly Sonic Adventure and Adventure 2. What did those games do? Let's recap. In Sonic Adventure, you start out, you see the cutscene, you fight Chaos, then you see another cutscene, then all you have to do is jump across a pool and you're right into the first level. That was easy, right? No problem. Sonic Adventure 2 didn't even have the world map. You just start out the game, Sonic jumps out of a fucking helicopter, and you're right into City Escape, easily one of the most entertaining levels in that entire game. And what does Sonic 06 do? It starts you out in the fucking world map, which would be fine if, you know, it was like Sonic Adventure, and all you had to do was go across a pool to get to the first level, but no! Instead we gotta bumble around a town for what takes at least, even if you know what to do, 15 fucking minutes. Wasting your time, literally. This padding issue is going to come up a lot during this review, but let's put this in perspective. We have just started the game, and we can't even really play it yet. Instead, you have to bubble around and figure out how to get over the first level. No, literally, that is your first objective. How do you get to the first level? This is almost insulting. The worst part is that this whole situation leads to a bunch of different plot holes that completely fuck with the game. And we've only just started. Can you believe that? Okay, for one, the very first thing you realize that you can't get across, you know, this body of water because it's too long and Sonic can't swim. First of all, why can't the motherfucker just run in the water? He's perfectly capable of doing that. And yes, there's 2 counting gimmicks here, I know. Alright, one won't come up enough. And if you're saying, well, doesn't Spoony 1 do that? Aren't you ripping off Spoony 1? The answer is yes! Yes, I am, because it illustrates a point. And I need to use it, and it's just a counting gag. Spoony 1 isn't the first one to do that, and I don't give a fuck. I'm doing it, alright? Going all the way. Fuck it. Whatever. Anyway, so you're not supposed to run on the water like you think Sonic can. Well, what about the fact that you have tails? How about that? How about the fact that Tails is right there with you? What he's doing here is never explained, although granted what Sonic's doing here is never explained, whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyway, he could fly you across the water. That's easy, right? Tails is more than capable of doing that, or why don't you go to find the tornado and chase after the egg carrier midair? You've done that before. No, we're not gonna do that either, because that might actually actually be fun or something crazy like that. No, instead you have to go to the store and find a way to get enough rings to buy the Lightspeed Dash. I wish I was making that up. You have to find enough rings to purchase your Lightspeed Dash. First of all, that's another motherfucking plot hole. Because Sonic has had the Lightspeed Dash standard since Heroes. Why all of a sudden does he have to buy it again? And at least in other games where you had to get it again, like in Adventure 2, it was right on the main path, and it didn't waste your time by having to get it again. It didn't get in your way. You just grabbed it and went. It wasn't a fucking chore. Here, no. No, you know what you have to do? You have to go and do a town mission for somebody, and then he gives you enough rings to buy the Lightspeed Dash. And these town missions, oh good god, these illustrate another issue that really plagues the game. The fact that literally more of your time is wasted in load screens, and it's not any more apparent than in these town missions, because let me tell you how this works. Alright, to do a town mission, you talk to the person and you accept the mission. There's a load screen. Mind you, load screens in Sonic 06 range on average about 15 seconds. Long end is 20 seconds, short end is 10 seconds. So average 15 seconds. I know this because I timed them, and so that's already really long to wait. But get this, the load screen ends, and then the guy explains the mission, and then there's another fucking load screen. Again, average of 15 seconds. Then you do the mission, which isn't fun to begin with. There's another load screen. He thanks you for doing a mission. And then there's another fucking load screen. If we're talking about an average of 15 seconds here for per load screen, that means during these town missions, there is exactly 1 minute of your time that is absolutely wasted. That is retarded. Alright, so you get the fucking rings. He gives you these special shoes, because you needed those or something. And then you go to the store, and you buy the Lightspeed Dash, and then you could go and save Elise. But really, there's two more plot holes here, you know, that I have to talk about. For one, why does nobody in the town raise a finger to help you? Now, you have to do fucking missions for them first, and then they'll help you save their princess. I'm starting to wonder if anybody in this town really wants the princess saved to begin with. Because you have to do their fucking chores in order to get your fucking rings, in order to save their fucking princess. Couldn't they just get a boat and ferry you across so you could chase down Eggman? Yeah, that might be nice, but no. Also, I'm mystified by the fact that there is a store in this town that sells Sonic's abilities. How does this place even exist? I'm literally lost on this one. How does this store turn a profit when Sonic isn't in town? Are there any other products for sale? Why does Sonic have to buy his abilities, and really, who goes out and makes and constructs abilities for Sonic to purchase? Why does this place exist? Anyway, you go across with your fucking Lightspeed Dash, and then you go into the first fucking level. Because that took about 57,000 years. Thanks for that, game. After you wade through a load screen, then you get into Wave Ocean, and this fucking level, this level was gonna come back to bite me in the ass a lot. Because get this, you play Wave Ocean twice in Sonic's story. Alone. Just Sonic's story, you play it twice. You want to know how many times you played in the other stories? More on that later. Anyway, to talk about the level in itself, well, it illustrates problems with the game engine to begin with. The fact is, the game is poorly programmed, and that's not even saying the half of it. You get stuck on objects, physics don't work properly, walking on walls is actually fairly normal, and there's really no sense of speed. And that's the thing that bothered me the most. It wasn't so much the glitches, although believe me, the glitches in this game are the stuff with Legends, we'll get to those in a bit. But, Jesus Christ, there's just no speed here. You feel like you move so slow. Aren't you supposed to be Sonic the Hedgehog? Aren't you supposed to be rolling around at the speed of sound or something crazy? I mean, where's the speed? Where's the action? Where's the feeling that you're, you know, walking on air? I mean, all that is gone. It's just this clunky mess of you just killing enemies and walking forward, and killing enemies and walking forward. Even the fucking platforming isn't challenging to begin with. And you might be saying that Sonic games have never been that hard, which, great, but the game almost feels like it's on autopilot. Wave Ocean also decided to rehash a bunch of things from Sonic Adventure, which you could argue are, supposed to be references, which, great, but why couldn't we come up with something new for the game? Something different and interesting. That might be nice. I don't know. Anyway, you get to a point where Sonic gets stuck on this frickin' orca, and Tails, he yells to Tails to make sure the orca doesn't get out. Why Sonic wants to keep this orca trapped in here is anyone's guess, or why the orca can't just jump over the gate, because it's clearly non-existent. Anyway, then you get to play as Tails, and this is where things really fall apart, because you realize that Tails' gameplay fucking sucks. Because not only is he slower than Sonic, which is confusing to begin with, but he's not even half Sonic's speed. I mean, he is slow as fucking dirt. And I have no idea why they would ever program it like this. His flight works okay, and he throws dummy ring bombs. Really? What for? Why would he throw dummy ring bombs? Just throw regular bombs. The problem with the dummy ring bombs is that not only do you get the dummy rings confused with the actual rings, but having that many fake rings on the screen tends to cause the game to lag. The lag is something that comes up a lot whenever there's too much going on the screen. It causes the game to become quite jittery, it'll slow down, and that's even more apparent when you play as Tails and you throw a gajillion dummy ring bombs anywhere. And you might be saying, well, don't throw that many. I say, well, why is it a problem in the first place? I shouldn't have to restrict how many bombs I fucking throw. How about that? How about that? It's the sign of a poorly programmed game. Deal with it. Anyway, you go push the fucking button, you lock Free Willy inside because you're a fucking asshole, Sonic gets launched over the gate and drowns horribly. Game over. No, that's not what happens. No, that throws you into the mock segment, where Sonic, randomly decides, maybe I should go fast. Yeah, let's do that now. Now that, we've already gone through a boring-ass level, you're gonna throw me into this mock stage, where now you're going fast. And you might say, well, now that he's going fast, isn't it better? No, because control doesn't exist here. Horizontal movement is difficult, and you have absolutely no control whenever you jump. If you jump in the wrong direction, you'll end up going off the screen and into a pit. You can't do that. You have to time everything perfectly. If you don't, you're absolutely screwed. And of course, if you hit one thing, you lose all your rings. So dying is actually fairly easy here if you don't know what's going on and you don't know what's coming. It's almost trial and error in a way. And it gets cheaper way later in the game when these stages become more difficult, but let me tell you, this first one is going to put you off to the concept. It's just annoying. No, I didn't make it do that. You can't control yourself on this loop. Get this, if you're too far to the right on this loop, it actually launches Sonic into oblivion and you die immediately. Now, you have to hit the loop at the exact right spot. Not that there's any indication as to which spot is correct. Oh no, that might actually be a little bit fucking convenient. No, instead it's just, if you hit that one spot, you die. Yeah, thanks. That's a glitch, if there was one. Thanks, game. Love you too. So Sonic and Tails chase the egg carrier and then decide, let's stop chasing. Let's go back to town and, find out where Eggman is going. He could be going to the other side of the world in that frickin' thing. But no, let's go back to town. The exact opposite direction of where Eggman went. What fucking logic does this make? Who the fuck does this? You literally just wasted my time again. What was the point of going down Wave Ocean? What was the point of any of this? I literally just spent the better part of 15 minutes on this fucking level, because load screens, remember, only to be greeted with, let's go back. Fuck you. So you get back to town, and now there's more busy work, which, great, that's exactly what I fucking wanted. That's exactly what I want to do. Just, run around in town again. Great. Love it. Love it! Anyway, so you gotta save this fucking girl who's stuck on a roof. How she got up there is anyone's guess. And if you do that, then the mayor or whatever, I think he's like a regent, I don't remember, it doesn't matter, will let you into the next level. But it's just more padding, it's more busy work. In order to do it, you have to go buy Sonic's Slide, which is weird as hell because it doesn't make any fucking sense. And then, you know, you get to go save her. You know, not that Sonic can roll into a ball and go under it himself or anything, you know, he's not perfectly capable of doing that. Whatever. You go to the next level, and immediately you find Elise, because I guess Eggman decided to hide the princess right next to town, because that makes sense. And you find her, but then Eggman sees you, ha ha ha, I'm evil, and then he launches the first boss of the game at you, the Egg Cerberus. And I have a few fucking problems with this boss. For one, that's not a Cerberus! Cerberus, by definition, has 3 heads. That is 1 head. Why is it called Egg Cerberus? For 2, this boss fight is fucking retarded. Okay? Because, holy crap. Get this. You're supposed to wait until the robot gets tired. You're supposed to wait until the robot gets tired. Ugh. And then you grind up its tail, you grab this horn on its head, and you steer it into the walls. Why this magic horn on its head gives you the ability to do this is never explained. But then once you do that and get it down to half health, then Sonic is like, oh, now I can see your face! And you'd think that would mean that you attack it in a different manner, like hit it in the face or something. But no, you literally do the same thing again. So, what was the point of that line? All it does is deceive you into thinking the boss fight has actually changed when it hasn't. So why bother having a line? It's not like it's that hard to remove a vocal line. It's not like you needed it there. Take it out! So you beat the fucking thing up, you rescue Elise, and I still can't get over how fucking stupid this is. In fact, count it right now. Thank you. Okay.
How long is this gonna
Tails decides that, you know, let's split up so he can distract the robots and Sonic and Elise can get away. Here's my problem with this. The robots are probably under orders to recapture Elise. Why would they bother chasing Tails?
Leave it to me.
Why would they do that? They can clearly see Elise and Sonic. They would obviously chase down the one with the princess. Why would they be distracted by Tails at all? He doesn't have Elise! And then you're launched into the sand level, where you die immediately because you fell into sand. And I can almost guarantee this happened to almost every single person who ever played this game. Because the tutorial that tells you about the sand is literally 2 steps before it, and nobody, and I mean nobody on this planet, when they hit a tutorial in a Sonic game, stops moving. That doesn't happen. You walked forward, you thought it was safe because it's just sand, and you fell in as if nothing was there. That's great. You know how you avoid the killer sand? You put up this weird shield that Sonic and Elise can do, which is also never explained, but even if it was, the very fact that I had to do it to walk on top of sand is confusing and it makes no fucking sense. There are certain parts where you can actually step on sand, and there are certain parts where you can't. Not that the sand is at all distinctive in its design. It all looks the same. It's all sand. You know, I've never gone to the beach and immediately sunk into sand randomly. That's never happened to me. I feel like that, this level makes no sense or something crazy like that. If not for the sand, the level wouldn't be the worst fucking thing in the world, but the sand makes the whole thing straight up stupid. You know, as if the gameplay wasn't bad enough. Now you've added this weird-ass sand that we have to do this weird shield over. Yeah, thanks for that. That's good. That's great. The whole point of this entire plan, by the way, is so they have an excuse to do this weird romantic scene between Sonic and Elise. Which, by the way, I'm gonna restrain making the usual bestiality jokes, because that's not really my problem with this whole romance. Everyone complains about that, but that's not really the issue. The issue with the romance is that it's poorly written to begin with. It is one of the most rushed, ill-conceived, forced character romances I've ever seen in any fiction. A book, a movie, a game, anything. It is some of the worst writing I've ever seen, because all of a sudden these two are magically in love. Like, when the hell did that come up? When did this happen? What, he just rescues you? You don't even really know him. And you're in this field, and it looks all pretty and shit, although by pretty I mean that this is one of the cinematics that gets a massive downgrade from every other cinematic. I mean, just look at Elise here, and look at her here. Which one is way more detailed? Probably the one on the right. I don't know what happened. I guess these cinematics were literally unfinished, because they lacked the polish of all the other ones. But, you know, even if the polish was there, how about the fact that literally the only reason we know these two are in love is that they're in some kind of, you know, nice scene. It looks all pretty and shit. I'm guessing the writers of this game must have taken lessons from George Lucas in terms of writing romance, because that's all they do. There's no actual, you know, development between the two. They're just in really, really beautiful locations, and that means they're in love. That's just what it means, and you'll deal with it. Let's move on. So they get back to town, and all of a sudden...
I've been looking for you. You're the Iblis trigger.
That's the sound effect you're going with? Really, a little spaceship coming down? That's what you're gonna go with? Okay. Alright, that's a little funny. Alright, so anyway, Silver shows up, and this motherfucker is the most annoying little shit you will ever see. I'll bitch more about him when I get to his story arc, but Jesus Christ, this guy. I cannot believe how badly they fucked this character up.
For the future of the world, I will destroy you.
I am here to save the future! Oh my god, this fucking boss fight is the stuff of legends. Alright, get this. You can't walk within 2 feet of Silver. If you do, he just immediately cries, "It's no use," and throws you. Every single time! You can't avoid it! There's no way to get close to him unless he's doing an attack. That's the strategy here. Stay far away from him until he uses some other move and then hit him. But even when you do that, usually you can't get out of range quick enough before he just grabs you again, cries "it's no use," and then throws you. And the worst part about this is that because they set up the boss fight like this, why they did it escapes me because it's fucking stupid. But because they did it like this, you can actually get stuck in "it's no use" loop, as I like to call them. If you get too close to a building and he just stands there, you're screwed. Or if he throws you directly up in the air and you fall straight down back on top of him, he'll just do it again. And you can't get out of it. It is one of the most ill-conceived boss fights imaginable. It's not hard once you know what to do, but figuring that out can be a real pain in the ass. And then once you beat him, I love how you don't really beat him anyway. No, he just grabs you and throws you into a wall and then tries to kill you. And then Elise gets kidnapped again. Good for that. And Sonic runs off to save her. And then Amy's like, "I'll take care of this," even though Silver will probably throw her into a wall. More on that later. And then Sonic ends up chasing Eggman. But before the townsfolk let you chase Eggman, they want you to do their bitch work again. See, they won't let you into the other part of the city until you can ask permission from the captain. And in order to do that, you have to do a town mission to figure out who the captain is. Which, the very existence of this mission insults me as a human being. Really, guys? You don't want me to rescue her, obviously. You know, just say so. You're literally wasting my time with this fucking game. Your princess has been kidnapped. I am trying to save her. Let me through the fucking door. You'd think they'd roll out the red carpet or something to let me go rescue this bitch, but no. No, instead they gotta waste my fucking time. I am convinced at this point that everyone is literally working for Eggman in this town. Nobody wants me to rescue Elise. Everyone wants him to succeed. Because not only do they waste my time, but nobody else tries to attack Eggman. You'd think the guards here might actually have weapons or something they'd use to fight Eggman, but they never attempt such a feat. They don't have a gun, nothing, anything. You can't help me at all. Jesus Christ, and then you waste my time. Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks a fucking lot. And then you get there. By the way, the whole reason you're going there is that you have to meet with Knuckles, which, I'm meeting with Knuckles. Really? Don't you have an emerald to be guarding? And the thing I love about this whole thing is that the setup for him being here is that He saw Eggman on the outside of town. What Knuckles was doing there is never explained. And Eggman gives him a message to give to Sonic. One, why doesn't Eggman just give Knuckles a bomb if he's that stupid? If he's gonna bring Sonic whatever fucking trinket that Eggman happens to give him a bomb, blow up Sonic, end of the story. Not hard. Alright. The second thing is, Knuckles is here, not guarding the Master Emerald. Why? That's your charter, dude. That's what you're supposed to do. That is your meaning. That is literally the meaning behind your existence. And you're not guarding it. No, you're just here for no reason. And it's not like he contributes anything to the plot. Beyond this point, literally, Knuckles does nothing. And I mean does nothing. He contributes nothing to the story. If you took him out of the story, it would change absolutely nothing about this. Really. And then we have to talk about Eggman's rationale here. Knuckles is supposed to be guarding what is, by definition, the most powerful energy source in the world. Debatably in the known universe. It is the Master Emerald. He stole it before to power the Death Egg. As soon as Eggman saw Knuckles not guarding it, you'd think that his first thought was, I got a little time here. Maybe I should run over to Angel Island and steal that shit. Nobody's watching it. Why wouldn't he? It would be really easy and he'd have a massive energy source. Hello? So anyway, Eggman tells Sonic to bring the Chaos Emerald to save Elise. And Sonic, like a dumbass, even though Tails points out that it's obviously a trap because Tails isn't a complete fucking moron, he decides to go there anyway to white Acropolis. The snowboarding segment, by the way, sucks. The controls are awful, and it's boring and dull. Remember the awesome snowboarding segment for Sonic Adventure? Yeah, not even close. And then you get to another level, and it's just as mind-numbingly dull as you'd expect it to be. It's just the same shit over and over again. Occasionally you get to play as Tails, that's always nice, and by nice I mean it sucks! Really all it does is waste your time, but I really want to go back to the snowboarding segment, because that's the part of the level that's really, truly awful. See, they did this thing where if you jump at the end of, a ramp, you go further, which, fine, if it functioned properly, but you have to get it so exact that it barely works at all. I just don't get it. I can barely do it even today, and there are times where you have to do it in order to proceed, like the last big jump. And if you fuck that up, well, you die. And that's always nice. Thanks, game. I'm glad your controls are great. They're not. At all. Right, so Sonic gets there and it's a trap. I know, right?
Well,
I don't know what I expected.
Where's Elise?
Then Eggman's like, aha, I'm going to use this machine and teleport you across time, and he explains to Elise that, for one, they're not dead yet. They could have been teleported in this past or far future. Although I would argue that that would almost guarantee their death, because what if you set them far enough into the past or future that the Earth no longer exists or something? You ever consider that? They're definitely dead then. Anyway, he also explains his machine needs some fine-tuning, and in order for it to be complete, he needs the flames of disaster from her. My big issue with this is that your machine obviously works, so what exactly are you trying to do? He explains his plan later on, and he's actually trying to control time or whatnot, but really, I don't understand why he needs the flames specifically. So, Sonic and his friends get teleported into the far post-apocalyptic future where Silver is from, which is oddly convenient. But what's even more convenient, get this, they're teleported to the exact same time, in the exact same location that both Shadow and Rouge just happened to be at when they were randomly teleported into the future. I cannot even begin to explain what a massive gaping plot hole that is. Of all the chances, of all the times that Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles could possibly have been teleported, they get the one instance where Shadow and Rouge just happen to be. No! I'm not suspending my disbelief for this. This is near impossible. Oh yeah, I guess it could happen, but it's so ridiculously convenient and retarded that I cannot accept it. Anyway, they realize that the future is destroyed, and they have to get back to the past. 'Cause, yeah, okay, to stop Eggman or whatnot. But for one, where the fuck are they? No, seriously, this looks nothing like Soliana, but they were obviously just in Dr. Eggman's lab, and they clearly teleported to the location. But where is this city then? Where are they? This is clearly not the same town as before. Anyway, Shadow goes off on this tangent about chaos control and explains stuff.
You mean using your chaos control will... Yes, but that alone is insufficient.
Whoa, dude, just back it up. Alright? Why does he get all dramatic all of a sudden? Like, ooh, that alone is insufficient. No, it makes me wonder how Shadow behaves in other situations. Alright, so the recipe calls for 1 egg, right, Shadow? Yes, but that alone is insufficient! You will require 2 eggs. I asked you for help. I am the ultimate life form, Maria! So, anyway, they decide to work together on it, and they go through Crisis City, which people argue with me that is actually the best level, but I argue that all levels suck, so why are we arguing about this? There's a lot of rails, which makes the level suck, because rail control is fucking impossible in this game. Remember before when you switched rails, you hit a direction, you jumped, and you went to the other rail? That was easy, right? Here, that doesn't happen. You jump off a rail, and you have to realign with the other rail you want, which could be an absolute bitch to do. If you don't have any practice with this, you're not going to be able to pull it off, and you'll just die. So that's always fun. There's also another mock stage, which, yes, that's what I wanted, but this one's a pain in the butt, because not only do you really have to align your jumps properly, because if you don't go completely straight, you're rocketing off the edge of the road and you're fucking dying. But on top of that, there's cars flying at you from behind where you can't see. The camera changes randomly, which can be very disorienting. And overall, it's a pretty miserable experience, let me tell you something. So after Crisis City, you know, they stumble on Silver and Blaze as they're talking to Mephiles, you know, more on that again in the next parts, don't want to get too detailed here. And they disappear, and they fuck off, and then they enter the data, and they realize that Elise dies when Eggman's egg carrier crashes, because that happens somehow. And Sonic...
If we don't return in time, Elise will die on board Eggman's battleship.
What?
If we don't return in time, Elise will die on board Eggman's battleship.
Oh my god. Oh my god, my head hurts. Oh my god, I think I literally lost brain cells listening to that. Oh my god. Oh my god! This is a fucking time travel plot!
If we don't return in time, Elise will die on board Eggman's battleship.
You have infinite chances if you're going through time. You could go back to before Eggman even attacked in the first place and stop him. What do you have to hurry for? The only limit you have is your own lifespan. Anyway, so they realize that they have to go into a volcano to get an emerald or something, and whatever. And so they do that, and then I got mad. No, seriously, just got mad, like, immediately. The level music in this one stage is fucking awesome, and that's the case with a few stages in this game. And some of the character music, actually. The music in the game is actually not bad. There's a lot of musical tracks that are actually really good, and it infuriates me. You have this awesome metal riff going. It is stuff legends are made of. It's one of the best video game soundtracks you could possibly hope for, and it's in this game? It's in this piece of crap? You're joking! Why would... such wasted potential! Come on! Anyway, the level sucks, by the way, because, for one, I should mention it this time, because now is as good a time as any, to throw out that you can walk on loops, because, instead of programming the physics to work with, you know, loops, they actually made you get locked on a track whenever you go around a loop. So, you can walk on the ceiling as if you were, you know, walking normally. It's ludicrous, to say the least. On top of that, lava pits make this level kind of miserable, especially if you walk into invisible walls, which do exist in this game and in this level, for the record. On top of that, you get to play as Knuckles for the first time, and that's not good because Knuckles gets stuck to walls. Anyway, you get to the end of the level, and all of a sudden, a Bliss shows up, who's like this larva thing, randomly, for no reason. And then you gotta fight him, and this boss fight is nothing but a waiting game. Literally, nothing but that. All you do is you jump around and you wait for a Bliss to do his happy dance to drop some stalactites, so you can run up, turn a light on, and then he just comes to the light and you hit him in the face. Rinse and repeat. You do this over and over and over again, and it is one of the most boring fights I've ever seen in the game. This is not how you design a fun game, people. This is not what you do. This is the exact opposite of fun right now. What is wrong with you people? Good fucking God. You beat him, you open the portal. By the way, the function of this Chaos Control time travel thing is confusing to me. This is something Chaos Control has never been able to do. Ever. It can warp things, yes, but since when can it rip open a portal through time? On top of that, my big concern here is, how do they know this portal is going to the right time period? How do they dictate to it where they want to go in time? I mean, it can be going anywhere. Right, so after they get back in time... What the fuck is that? Soriana? Soriana. That is what that says. You misspelled the main town, the main state of your fucking plot? You misspelled it. Soriana. How do you do that? I'm sorry, I can't get over that. You may think I'm nitpicking, and I am. But what the fuck? How do you misspell that? Soriana. Soriana. Is that your weird way of saying sorry? Soriana, we made this shitty game. So, you do more busy work. Fun. And then you go to Radical Train. And the whole point of this is that you have to stop these bombs from exploding and destroying the train, because that's what Eggman does, I guess. He lays random bombs on a random train track for no fucking reason. It just makes you have to go through the level faster. And the level has these weird weight systems and these conveyor belts, which you think might make it interesting, but it just makes the level more annoying and more of a waste of time. You begin to realize more that you're just playing a piece of shit, and really what you're playing isn't fun, and having to deal with annoying conveyor belts and weight systems just doesn't make it any better. There's also another mock stage, which, great, because that was so much fun before. And the thing that mystifies me about this is that when you catch up to Eggman's train, also, why is Eggman using a train? I have no understanding of that at all, although that's a huge gaping plot hole for later. We're not going to count that yet, though, because I'll review in the next part why that's a plot hole. Anyway, so you're chasing Eggman's train, and for no reason that I'm ever able to ascertain, it just magically starts exploding. And then you catch up and you rescue Elise. Why it explodes is beyond me. It's never explained, it just does. So you rescue Elise again, but Silver shows up and Eggman's allowed to recapture her again. I am here to save the future! But it's okay, because Shadow shows up like a boss and decides to fight Silver himself, so Sonic can run off and save Elise again. And then Eggman unleashes his Egg Genesis at you. Ooh, scary. And this boss is another waiting game. As well designed as I think the boss's model is, basically the idea is that you gotta wait for it to lower itself, release its minions, use it to bounce up there, and then jump on its head. Now literally that's what you do. Over and over and over again. Until it eventually dies. It gets old. Really fast. And then... this level, you know, it mystifies me, because you're never going to believe this, and I'll just mention this now. This one segment of this one level, right here, that you're playing right now, this is the only level in the entire game that's never rehashed. Ever. There's a part of this level that is used again, but not this one. This is the only one that's never used again. It's only used for Sonic and Elise, which, in fairness, level's annoying as hell, because you have these stupid purple buds that if you don't hit the jump button just right, you don't jump high enough and you fall. Although, falling off of these did reveal an amazing glitch. I don't even know how this happened, and I'll probably never be able to repeat it. But somehow I got Sonic stuck in this weird, never-ending jump animation. Like, you're supposed to fall in that water and die, right? But instead, he's, like, bouncing up and down, and this goes on, and the only reason I ever got out of it is that I had him do a homing attack, and then it fixed itself, and then he died. But I almost was said to just leave it there and just let it keep going on forever, because I'm pretty sure that's what exactly would have happened. And if this isn't a sign of a broken as fuck game, I don't know what is. And then you beat the jungle level, and then you have another fucking romantic scene in a beautiful location, because romance, I guess. Also, Elise talks about how she mustn't cry, because her father said she shouldn't. The crying thing is going to come up later. A lot of stuff is going to come up later once we piece all these parts together in the following segments of my review. But this entire crying thing really makes no fucking sense to begin with, you know? But besides that, so you finish that, you go back to town, and then Elise goes back to her palace, but then Eggman says, you know, I'm really just gonna level this entire fucking city if you don't come, you know, you come with me. Elise is captured again, by the way. And really, I can't say I blame Eggman for this. You have a giant battle station at your disposal. Why wouldn't you just level the city? Problem solved! So, Elise goes with Eggman, but then Sonic is nowhere to be found. Where the fuck is he? The one lady asked Tails to help. By asked Tails to help, I mean, she sends Tails to Wave Ocean. And then you play Wave Ocean. Again! It is literally the same level! Again! You get nothing from playing Wave Ocean again. Nothing happens as a result. Nothing is changed. You could skip this entire segment and nothing would be different. Why the fuck does Tails have to play Wave Ocean again? Why? God damn it. Holy why? What for? Because you get done with it and then Sonic's there and then you go and then you do the actual level. And by do the actual level, I mean the townsfolk feel like wasting your fucking time again. You have to do these trials, right? And this was dumb. This was really, really dumb. Because for one, the trials are set up like town missions, meaning they have lengthy load screens, so they take way longer than they should to begin with. But even if that wasn't dumb, the first one is the trial of intelligence, and by intelligence they mean, let's play a guessing game, where you jump into random teleporters and hope you can get to the end, just by sheer guesswork. It has nothing to do with intelligence, it has to do with playing a guessing game. That's not intelligence, that's luck! Luck! And then the next one is the trial of courage, and by courage they mean defeat all the enemies with 0 rings, which, by the way, is a pain in the butt. I did it in one try on this playthrough, but I got lucky, to be perfectly realistic, because some of the enemy types in this game have really obnoxious laser attacks that are really hard to dodge. And, god damn it, why do I have to do this? And then the last one is the trial of love, the dumbest of all, where you literally get to pick your true love, Amy or Elise. Also, I feel like there's almost no one alive who chose Elise and was serious about it. I'm just saying. And nothing comes of that, nothing changes. You just pick a love and then the plot doesn't change at all. It doesn't affect anything. What's the point? And then they finally lets you go to this fucking place, and then you realize that Tails was already up here. That motherfucker. What are you doing here? Why couldn't you fly me up here with you? You cheating whore. God damn it. You go, and then Silver's there, and then he's like, I'm here to save the future! And he says he's gotta help you rescue the princess, and Sonic is like, oh, you tried to kill me twice, but yeah, you seem on the level. Let's go. So you go, and you play this level, and the thing I love about this level is that it's probably the best constructed, and it's also the one that, was shown in most of the trailers. In fact, I remember back in the day, when people were theorizing about the game, this was the level that people thought might be a reboot to Green Hill Zone. It isn't. That would be too cool. There's a lot of strange wind rails that you ride on, I don't really get it. The game's basically on autopilot when you're on them anyway. But, you know, it's the same stuff you've done before. The only intriguing part of this level is it actually lets you play as Silver for a short time. And Silver's gameplay, you know, I'm so disappointed with it because it could have been really cool. It really could have. But instead, it's just a waste of fucking time. Silver's way slower than a lot of the other characters on top of that. And in addition, the throwing of objects, for one, can lag the game out, which is great. But on top of that, targeting doesn't work quite as well as it should, and often the objects you throw get in the way of each other. I've seen objects bounce off one another. It's just poor design overall. And they never really exploit Silver's powers to any real impressive degree. I mean, there's a lot of scripted events where you can move objects to form paths, but you know, I just feel like there's so many options here that they just didn't take. There were so many things they could have done and just didn't. It's almost depressing in a way. Actually, might make Silver a tolerable character, and no, I'm sorry. You do another mock stage, which sucks, as usual, and then you get to the end and you realize that the egg carrier crashes and Elise dies. And I don't understand this. How does Eggman's egg carrier crash to begin with? Why would it suddenly malfunction for no reason? Why is he so panicked about it? If there's anything that's been clear about Dr. Eggman, Dr. Robotnik, Dr. Ivo Robotnik, is that guy always, and I mean always, has a plan of escape. He always gets away. What changed here? Why all of a sudden couldn't he just grab Elise, go to his little hovercraft, and escape the egg carrier? So Sonic's like, oh my god, I can't believe this. And Silver's like, wait, I am here to save the future. And there's still a way to fix this. So they both use Chaos Control to go back in time again. Because Silver can do that too. Whatever. Sonic goes back in time, gives Silver some emeralds, which is more plot holes, thanks for that. And he jumps into the past and decides to go and do the final mission. Which, to get there, is more busy work. You get to ring all the bells in the town. Great. And this is a good time as any to discuss Sonic's other abilities. Remember I mentioned the shop earlier? I haven't really gone too much into detail, but Sonic can buy these gems, right? And everyone gives him a unique ability. And I'm not going to go into detail about all of them, because most of them are complete shit. But there's one in particular I really want to discuss. See, there's this one, that it's a purple gem, and it makes Sonic get really small, but you might question what the point of that is, but the thing about it is that it lets you jump indefinitely, meaning Sonic can basically fly. There's already a gem that can make you teleport, which is broken in itself, but this one literally lets you fly indefinitely. There's no limit on this. The thing I love about this is that the very next level has you going into a level with bottomless pits that normally would be a challenge to get across, but as long as you buy this gem, which is made available right before this mission, you can get across it without a problem. You might say I'm cheating, but this is an in-game item. You can buy it right before the level. The game gave it to me, why shouldn't I use it? Also, I'm confused about something big here. Tails and Knuckles are still with Sonic, yet we've never seen them. The last time we saw Tails, it was right before the last mission. And he's here now, so he must have followed Sonic through the portal, except we never see him do so, and Knuckles is also here. Are these guys, like, shoved up Sonic's ass or something that you just don't know they're there until he needs them? Is that how this works? That is literally the only explanation I could possibly think of. You beat the level, which sucked. They all sucked, I don't know why you're surprised. Sonic jumps on the egg carrier, and there's no egg carrier level because that might have been cool. But no, it just cuts right to Sonic being like, I'm gonna stop you, Eggman. And Eggman's like, no, I'm gonna fight you now. Even though my flying fortress is crashing, I feel the need to fight you. And he had enough time to get to this thing and power it up. Why couldn't he have gotten to it if his egg carrier was crashing? Yeah, and then he has enough time to fight Sonic. Okay. And this fight, is probably the stupidest one of all. Because, get this, the first thing you have to do is grab a hold of the egg wyvern's horn and steer it into falling debris. Yeah, it's just like the egg Cerberus. Yet it's even made stupider now because Eggman is literally behind the controls of this thing. Why is Sonic able to steer it into anything? Why is the horn even there? It doesn't make any sense! The only difference this time is that after you destroy the canopy, and they're like, oh, now I can hit you more directly. Well, this time it's actually true, and you just hit Eggman in the face until you inevitably win. It's not that hard to fight. The only thing you really have to worry about is falling to your death. And the camera can betray you a lot in that regard, but as long as you're careful, you won't have that much of an issue. And then, you have the final cutscene where they escape the egg carrier. You know what would have been cool? Have a final level where you escape an exploding egg carrier. That might have been cool. But that's why it's not in this game. Because that might have been cool. So they escape, and then they start laughing annoyingly, and then that's the end of that segment. And you know what the worst part about this is? I still have 3 stories left to cover.
You know, Darkness, you can quit any time. I mean, Sonic 06 has already been reviewed plenty of times. Isn't the topic a little dead?
Only when I am finished here will it have my permission to die. You know, I had a lot of people actually come to me and point stuff out. As if you know more than me or something crazy like that. Well, some of you do. For one, you remember the Soriana thing that I bitched about? Well, there is actually an explanation for that. See, with the Japanese language and how it works, I guess L's and R's tend to get mixed up and confused, or something like that. I don't really know the details, I didn't really care. The point is, this is a localization error, not a blatant misspelling. Does it still count as a plot hole? Probably, but some people are like, does that really count? You know, localization error sometimes happen. Okay, you know what? Fine. We'll take that one off there. But the number of plot holes still stands firmly at 42. And here's why. See, there was a plot hole that I missed, as it turns out. When Sonic's fighting the Egg Wyvern, during the fight, Eggman will destroy parts of the platform. The question is, why doesn't he just destroy the entire platform? And the answer is, because that wouldn't make for a good boss fight, I guess, even though this boss fight sucks to begin with. So yeah, there's still 42 plot holes. Now if we can move on to Shadow's story, I can't believe how quickly this story falls completely in on itself. You know, at least Sonic's story got through the first cutscene before the plot holes really started to pile on. But Shadow's story doesn't even begin to do that. And the funny thing is, a lot of people will sit there and tell me that, oh, Shadow's story is actually alright. Shadow's story is actually pretty good. No. No, it's not. Better than Sonic's story, but that's not saying a lot. Okay, seriously, guess how quickly it takes for the plot holes to start here. Okay, he busts in and goes through robots like they're nothing, which is something you can't do in the actual game, but I won't count that yet. No. And he jumps over the frickin' wall, and he's in the base, and he radios to Gun, or G-U-N as they call it, because they couldn't say the word gun, that would be bad! And then he teleports.
Understood. Initiating the mission now.
Right off the bat! Okay, you're probably wondering why I'm counting this twice. Well, that's because the very fact that he teleports here sets up 2 huge gaping plot holes. The first one is that if he can teleport, why doesn't he just warp everywhere? See, prior to this, in any game, there was a simple explanation for why he couldn't just teleport anywhere he wanted nonchalantly. In Sonic Adventure 2, he didn't have a Chaos Emerald all the time, so he couldn't always do it. in Sonic Heroes, well, he was with Rouge and Omega, so he couldn't just leave them behind since he was working with them. In Shadow the Hedgehog, you could use Chaos Control during gameplay, so there you go. And in this game, it's just, he just doesn't do it. And you know what the best part is? He never uses Chaos Control to warp. Ever again. Ever. It's never used for this esteemed purpose. It's never used for the one thing everyone knows it does. Ever. Oh, and now, of course, you're going to be wondering, well, what about the other plot hole? Okay, how about the fact that Shadow doesn't have a Chaos Emerald at this point in the story? Shadow is not capable of using Chaos Control without a Chaos Emerald. That has been something that has been clearly defined throughout the entire series. It is one of the rules behind the use of Chaos Control. Think back. He's never been able to use it without an emerald. Even in Heroes, when it's not possible for him to have an emerald, which was a plot hole in that game in itself. During the Team Blast, he has an emerald. At the very least, they knew that he needed one. It didn't make any sense from his plot perspective, because everyone else is gathering the Chaos Emeralds, so it's impossible for him to have one, but still, they thought about it. And what about in Shadow the Hedgehog? Yeah, before you unlock the Chaos powers in that game, you pick up an emerald immediately right off the bat. And here, does he need an emerald? No. No, he doesn't need one. Bullshit. Fucking bullshit. He needs it. He needs an emerald. You know, and I talk more about the following level, but this is where we're gonna get into the whole rehashing issue, because this level is quite literally the same fucking level you played as Sonic. No joke. The only difference is you're playing as Shadow, and Shadow's gameplay isn't that different from Sonic, so this is basically the same level over and over and over again. The big difference is that Shadow has a few powers he can use. For example, he can beat people in the face after he does a homing attack, which actually causes some gameplay issues if you're not used to it. And the other thing is that Shadow's gameplay seems to be more combat heavy, which is actually a bad thing on the basis that you continuously have to defeat enemies in order to progress. You have to open doors. So the combat gets so fucking old. There isn't enough depth here to keep you going. It's not like this is Bayonetta or Ninja Gaiden or God of War or something. You don't have combos or, you know, super attacks or magic spells you can do. No, it's just homing attack and beat people in the face over and over and over again. And it just wears on and on. And they tell you, the rehash levels don't make it any better. And yeah, you get to play as Rouge at one point during this level. That's great. Whatever, I'll talk about her gameplay in a second. The other thing about Shadow's gameplay that you might want to know is that there are vehicles, because I have no fucking idea why. And this time you have to use the fucking conveniently placed military-grade cart to run around destroying searchlights, because apparently once you destroy all the searchlights, then the door will open. Which doesn't make any sense to begin with. But why the fuck is this cart here? There's more than one! Who put these here? Why would Eggman just leave these around? These are clearly not made by him. Trust me, I know. Why is it here? Why? You meet up with Rouge, and they have this fucking scepter thing, which I'll talk about in a second, because this whole thing is one big giant plot hole to begin with. And then, fucking Egg Cerberus attacks again, because, yeah, on top of rehashing the levels, because that wasn't bad enough, now they rehash the fucking, God, the boss fights, and it's the same fucking fight. The only difference is that it's just a little bit more difficult. Just a little bit. For one, there are minions, you know, other enemies besides the boss. Okay, that makes it a little harder, and for two, this boss will actually throw you off of its little horn thing occasionally, and you have to homing attack back on. Other than that, there's really no major difference between the two fights. So, you know, as if you didn't feel like you were playing the same thing over and over and over again, getting a grating sense of deja vu. Now they just throw this at you. Great, that's great. Thanks for that. So they move on and they fucking leave the base and they find this underground thing. I have no idea where the hell they're at. And Rouge tells Shadow about fucking Soliana, and so they decide to meet at Kingdom Valley, and thank fucking Christ that Gunn had the sense to not make Shadow do the stupid stupid trials to get into it. No, they just arranged for a conveniently placed teleporter to take you to the entrance to the level. Because that's something the military could just do. Just casually open up a space-time rift to take you to the entrance to where they're meeting you. And really, why would they meet in such an out-of-the-way location? You know, why not meet, you know, someplace in town or something? Just you know, send a representative and hand them the scepter. And not fucking hard. And by the way, Shadow's fucking run animation drives me nuts. And let me tell you why. It's because of this fucking sound effect. It sounds like someone brushing their teeth or something. And it just goes on, and it's the same sound. Over, and over, and over again. It gets old. So you get to fucking Kingdom Valley, which, by the way, is once again the same stage you already fucking played as Sonic. So that's good. The only difference is now there's this little hunting mission where you play as Rouge, and you gotta go around and find 3 keys. So it's kind of a throwback to the Sonic Adventure games. The only difference is now you don't have a radar at all, and Rouge's gameplay is completely and totally fucking broken in every conceivable way. For one, you throw bombs at enemies, which take forever to throw, and it's just really slow and awkward. You just want to kick them in the face like you could before, but no, that was too much fun. But the best part is that Rouge, seriously, I can't stress it enough, gets stuck to walls. And Christ almighty, I have no idea what the hell they did. Why wouldn't you fix a blatant bug like this? This is such a huge problem. And then the wall fucking glitched out, and somehow I phased to the other side. I don't even know what the fuck happened here. I think it's because in the game's coding, there's no separation between ceiling and wall, so there's a way to phase through the tiny crack in the top corner. But god damn, the best part is I actually was supposed to come in here to get a key, but I couldn't actually get the key until I summoned the enemies by opening up a window like you're supposed to, which I couldn't do before, and I just, you know, glitched through the wall, because that's fun and great. You fly around, you find the fucking keys, because that's fun, and then you play as Shadow, nothing of interest happens, it's the same fucking stage, you played as Sonic, why are you bothering? Good goddamn it, make some different levels, alright? That is not hard. So they get to their rendezvous point with the fucking scepter, which is mine. It belongs to me. And Dr. Robotnik shows up, and I you know, part of me actually wants to like this scene, because I like how there's this sense of respect between all these characters since they've worked together in the past. You know, like Rouge and Shadow both have a tendency to call Eggman Doctor instead of, you know, Eggman or Robotnik. They say he's the Doctor, and you know, Dr. Robotnik's always polite with them, and he asks them for the scepter back rather than just destroying them with his robots. You know, I just think it's a really interesting scene. It's just too bad it's in this game, because it basically ruins it. So during the fight for the scepter, it falls on the ground, and I guess that somehow breaks it or causes it to malfunction. I don't even know how the fuck this thing's supposed to work. Eggman freaks out and says it's no use because that was unnecessary. Thanks for that. And he orders everyone to pull back, even though it's clear his robots are fucking dead. And this fucking Shadow thing comes out and goes into Shadow, so it becomes Shadow. Super Shadow, shadowy, Shadow. It's Shadow, so hardcore Shadow. I'm goth, Shadow. Emo Shadow. God damn it, Shadow. Look, it's emo Shadow. And so this is fucking Mephiles. He's like the main villain, and you know, and everyone likes to talk about, oh, he's like the best character in the game, and you know, I really want to say that, but the problem is there's so many fucking holes with his very existence and his entire evil plan, which I'll get to later, and it's really hard for me to like him. He could have been cool. He really could have. I don't know why he lacks a mouth, but he really could have been cool. There was a way to do this, and had the writing been way better, this character would have been really, really interesting and really, really cool. But no! Of course not! Why? God damn it! So, Mephiles has the power to control time and just blips everyone out of existence. Because that's good. That's great. Love it. and then teleports them into the distant future, because he can do that, I guess. Just because. So they get there, and then they try to figure out where the hell they're at, and then Rouge says that they're still in the Doctor's base. You weren't in the Doctor's base! You were in Kingdom Valley when you got teleported! And how the fuck in any way is this Kingdom Valley? I don't get this. When Sonic and his crew were teleported, they arrived in the same exact location where they were teleported from. Yet every other time anyone is teleported in this entire game, it is clearly a different location. It is abundantly clear it cannot possibly be the same place. So how the fuck is this time travel thing supposed to work? Do they show up in the same spot or don't they? Make up your fucking minds. I mean, maybe you could argue that it's because of the way Eggman's machine worked as to why they showed up in the same spot. But isn't it a little fucking impractical, you know, with Mephisto's powers that he, you know, that you just show up at a random location? I mean, you could show up anywhere. And again, I have to reiterate how fucking stupid it is that Shadow and Rouge and Sonic and his crew just happen to show up at the exact same spot in the exact same time period as when they were teleported, because they couldn't show up at any other point in time. You could argue that Mephisto sent Shadow and Rouge to this spot intentionally, but how could he have possibly known where Sonic and his crew were being teleported to? I guess you could say, oh, he controls time, he just knows that, but that just raises all sorts of fucking questions that I'll talk about later. So they decide again to go and find the Chaos Emeralds and use Chaos Control. Shadow gets all dramatic because fuck it. And then you gotta play fucking goddamn Crisis City again. It's the same fucking level I played before. Nothing about it is different. I can walk on walls. Great. Love it. There's some vehicles. There's a hang glider. That was also Kingdom Valley. That was fun. No, it wasn't. And I have no idea what's going on here. Yeah, I know that wasn't a plot hole. It was a game glitch. I don't care. Actually, this is a plot hole. How the fuck is there a hang glider just randomly here? Like, before I could kind of argue that, you know, maybe GUN placed it there. God, did I call him GUN? I mean Gun, because that's what it is. You could argue that Gun fucking placed it there for them to use. Okay, I follow that logic, but how the fuck do they have it here? In the post-apocalyptic future, you know, it's a little fucking convenient, don't you think? So they find Omega, who's just been sitting around for 500 years, I guess. And he's in standby mode, they can't get him out of it, so they just kind of leave him because they can't do anything, I guess. I just find it funny that Omega has this function where he can just sit around for eons without a problem. Won't his batteries run out or something? What does he run on? Solar power? I don't get it. I'm not elaborating much because we've seen this all before in Sonic's story. And then they fucking go to Flame Core, which is the same fucking level again. Do something different. I have to I'm walking loops again, and no, it will never get old. I'm still gonna do it every fucking time. Christ almighty. God damn it, there's so many enemies you have to kill. And really, I just have to question the nature of these enemies I'm killing. What are these things? I mean, it's clear to me that they're the spawn of both Iblis and Mephiles, respectively, depending on which color they happen to be. But how are these things created, and why? Why is it that Shadow only fights the purple ones, and where nobody else encounters them? Are they under the control of Iblis and Mephiles? If so, why does Iblis make spawn? I mean, I can actually kind of see Iblis doing that, you know, passively, since he's so fucking enormous, and he just throws lava everywhere, but what about Mephiles? Why is he doing that? I don't understand how this makes any level of sense. You fight Iblis again, and it's the same fight. Literally, there's no difference, and it's just another waiting game. The fight wasn't fun the first time. Why would I have to do it twice? Why would you think this is good game design? What is wrong with you? And the thing I love about these fights, the thing that I find stupid as hell, is why are your other friends never helping? Ever. You only ever fight these things as the character you happen to be playing as. They never actually help you with the fight. They just stand there with their thumbs up their asses, just watching Shadow solo this fucking demonic force of fire and brimstone. I mean, for Christ's sake. And they did the same thing when Sonic fought him in his story. Do something! They use Chaos Control for that thing that Chaos Control could never do before, and everyone teleports back. Again, no idea how the fuck they know that it's going to the right place, but Shadow decides to stay behind because he sees Mephiles, and he's going to pursue that shit even though he'll be stuck in the future and not giving a fuck. But so meanwhile, Rouge gets back and realizes Shadow isn't there, and radios her fucking boss and says there's a priority situation, she has to handle this shit.
Report your status immediately. Have you retrieved the Book of Darkness?
I should probably stress, as someone who owns this very significant artifact because it's mine, of darkness, it is clearly belongs to me, that is called the Scepter. And in fact, every other time during the course of this game, they call it a scepter. So what the fuck is up with this dialogue calling it a book? That's not a book! Rouge goes to the jungle area, and this level actually isn't rehashed yet, because Sonic's jungle area was the only unique level in the entire game, and the only part that nobody else got to play. So, this level's easy as hell, by the way, because Rouge's flight ability kind of breaks the whole thing. So, you can basically skip over all the enemies till the very end when the game makes you defeat all the enemies, which doesn't take too long. And you beat the level, and you find Omega. Really, why are all of Sonic's friends always clustered in the same relative location? Why are they all around Soliana? Why is Omega here? Why is he here? Why is he here?
Long time no see. Rouge the Bat.
Everybody supersonic racing. Try to keep your feet right on the ground. When you're supersonic racing, there's no time to look around. We're just supersonic racing, running to the point of no return. Everybody.
What did you do to his voice? Why does he sound like that? Why does he... What the fuck? So, Rouge is the one who actually asked Omega to go into standby mode, and she gives him the emerald to take back to the future. And by the way, am I the only one who finds it a little weird that everyone took the Chaos Emeralds back with them through time? Because that won't cause any problems for the future or the past. I have no idea where the hell all these emeralds are going. The emeralds are just going all over the place, really. So she tells Omega to wait around for 500 fucking years. And he's like, yeah, okay, I can do that. So Shadow confronts Mephiles, and Mephiles is all like, join me. Come to the dark side. Humanity will betray you. And Shadow's like, I'm too hardcore for you. I don't need your help. I'm not gonna help you. And then they fight, and the music for this fight is fucking awesome. Why is it in this game? And God, this fight itself is stupid, because all you do is you fight his minions, and it would be a really cool concept if you had to find the source of his power or something, because Mephiles literally becomes your shadow in the ground, which is a really cool effect, by the way. Why is it in this game? And God damn it, you just kill his minions over and over and over again to charge up your bars so you can go fucking Ultra Super Chaos Shadow. I forget what it's called, I don't even give a fuck. And I guess it somehow forces Mephiles out of his fucking shadow, and then you get to beat his face in, but that's not good enough, and then Omega shows up and you gotta beat his face in as Omega, because that was really fucking necessary. Thanks for making me do that twice. And then they fucking follow Mephiles back to the past, because that's really convenient. Thanks for that. And they meet up with Rouge, and who's just waiting around. How did she know they were gonna be here? Really? How did she fucking know that? And then Shadow goes to Radical Train. I didn't touch on this before, but really, I gotta talk about this Radical Train thing, because for one, Shadow's pursuing Dr. Robotnik because he wants to know something about Mephiles. And Robotnik is traveling by train, and for one, that is a huge gaping plot hole. Why is Robotnik traveling by train? He has a fucking egg carrier, he has a flying battle cruiser. Now he's gonna travel by train, because that's the way to go. Why? And for two, after this entire level, which sucks by the way, I didn't think you needed to know. It was already the same level you played as Sonic, because that was really good the first time. Shadow destroys Eggman's train and travels along the same exact path, doing the same exact thing that Sonic did, right? Right after this is where Shadow saves Sonic from Silver, who is here to save the future! But think about this for a second. Sonic just saved Elise from Dr. Robotnik during Radical Train on the train level. They were both chasing a train on the same track with the same guy in it on the same exact path. How is that even remotely possible? It's not. It's not possible. They couldn't have. There was no way. They didn't see each other. The trains look different, I think. And what the fuck? How? Someone tell me how. So Shadow jumps in to save Sonic, remember? And Silver's like, Mephiles, why are you getting in my way? I am here to save the future! And Shadow's like, I'm Shadow the Hedgehog. Too badass for you. And the Silver fight is just as dumb as it was before. The only difference now is that there's a wider area, so the fight is a little easier, and I actually got stuck in that stupid I'm stuck over top of him loop to show you how dumb it is. You just die, because that's great. And after the fight, Silver just tries to punch Shadow.
Chaos control!
Roll it again.
Chaos control!
Never gonna get old. But tell me something, why does he suddenly think that he can take Shadow in hand-to-hand combat? Why does he try to punch him? Why?
Chaos control!
He can throw him with his mind. He'd been doing that the entire fight. Why all of a sudden does he try to hit him with his fist? And Silver's like, I can't lose. I'm here to save the future. I can't lose. And then Silver, for some reason, decides that he can do Chaos Control too. And then they both do it, because why? And they open a rift through time and they decide to go back to the past again to figure out what happened 10 years prior to the events of this game. And they arrive in the lab and shit explodes. You question why you're still playing this. And then they get the fucking scepter and they decide to split up. And then you play that stupid lab mission, which is the same level as before, except that even though they split up, Silver's right there to play part of the level for you. Thanks for that. You find Mephiles, who's still a Shadow. You seal him, which explains how he knew who Shadow was when he came out before. And then you meet up with Silver, who says he sealed the flames. More on that later, and he just leaves. And then Shadow leaves the Scepter of Darkness behind. Why did you leave my scepter behind? So Shadow and Silver teleport back to the present, and then Rouge asks where the kid is, as in Silver. How did she know that Shadow was with Silver? She wasn't there for Radical Train. Shadow left them behind. How do you know that? How do you possibly know that? So they realize they have to go find the Scepter of Darkness again. They want to find my scepter again, those dicks. And they gotta find its location, but here's the thing. Don't they already know where it's at? I know where it's at. They dropped it at Kingdom Valley. So go back and get it. It's probably still there. But somehow it's not there. It's under some kind of weird protection thing or something. But in order to figure that out, you have to talk to this archaeologist. And then you have to save her from Iblis Spawn. And I can't even tell you what a gaping plot hole this is. The problem with this is that at this point in the timeline, Iblis hasn't been released. Iblis Spawn only show up when Iblis is released. That's the only way they come into existence. So pray tell, how are all the Spawn here Iblis Spawn? How are they here? And why am I saving this fucking archaeologist at all? Because I guess she has to tell you that how to find this fucking Scepter of Darkness, even though I already know where my own damn scepter is. That's good. What you have to do is you have to find this fucking fountain and light all the flames around it with your Chaos Spear, and then there's the scepter, my scepter, and then this fucking dialogue comes on the screen.
Agent Shadow, E123 Omega has engaged Mephiles. Head to the Wave Ocean, head to Wave Ocean. Agent Shadow, E123 Omega has engaged Mephiles. Head to Wave Ocean immediately.
Wait, play that again.
Agent Shadow, E123 Omega has engaged Mephiles. Head to the Wave Ocean, head to Wave Ocean. Agent Shadow, E123 Omega has engaged Mephiles. Head to Wave Ocean immediately.
Oh my god, you flubbed your line. Oh my god, there's a fucking outtake in the game dialogue. What? What? You're joking. There's no. No. That didn't just happen. You're kidding. Really? This game was rushed so much out the door that you couldn't fix a flubbed line. Great. You have to go back to Wave Ocean, because that was really fun the first time. And you have to ride your fucking hang glider. And you have to play as Omega. And you have to play as Shadow. All this was so much fun the first time, I don't know why. What I missed about the place. I've only been to the same level 3 fucking times. And then you meet up with Mephiles, but you don't fight him. And Omega confesses that he's the one who captured Shadow in the future. Even though that makes no sense. Because Omega was on standby mode the whole time. How could he have been the one to have captured Shadow? Do he just come out of that standby mode, stop Shadow, then go back into standby mode? That wasn't his mission. That was not the protocol he set. Why would it suddenly change randomly? It makes no sense. And, you know, honestly, this scene here would be really good if it wasn't in this game, because you want to know why? Because there's like some really deep character development in Team Dark. This whole thing, and Rouge, you know, says she's completely loyal to Shadow and will stay by him, which was a really deep scene. As someone who always appreciated the relationship that Rouge and Shadow have, to have such a line, such a deep, meaningful line exist in this piece of crap of a game is just offensive. God damn it! Why? Why couldn't this have been in a better game? Why couldn't this stuff happen in a good game? Why? So, you fucking go back and you fight more a Bliss spawn. Again! And I know someone else is going to argue with that maybe Mephiles can spawn a Bliss spawn. And maybe that's true. But I don't think it is. So, the region, again, gives you permission to go to the desert. Like, you're really fucking protecting the desert. Which you fly a hovercraft over. Oh yeah, I hadn't mentioned the fucking hovercraft yet. I almost missed that. That and the motorcycle. I gotta talk about these before I get too far ahead of myself. Alright, the motorcycle you fucking used to chase the train before, right? And it fucking has guns on it, and why is it here? And you used to jump even though the controls suck. Yeah, that's about all I gotta say. And the hovercraft can flip over if you don't set it right and you just die. That was fun. And here you use it to protect yourself from that killer sand. That dastardly sand that'll fucking kill you. And then you get inside the temple and you dodge sand waves, but you don't sink in this sand. Oh no. This sand's completely different. No. This sand just goes along in waves for no fucking reason that's ever been explained at all. It just does. Omega can fly, by the way. You play as him at 1.2. And he fucking cheats because you can just go around everything. Because if you just mash the A button, you never lose any altitude. So you can basically fly indefinitely. It's a game flaw. Yeah. So you find Mephiles, you're too late, because he's trying to get the Chaos Emeralds to do something. Even though he already has one. And then you fight him, and this fight's a little better than the first one. Although the music's not as good. Just because it goes a lot faster. It just feels more like an actual boss fight, I guess. I don't know why Mephiles is randomly invincible for no reason. That's never explained. So you beat Mephiles, and they try to seal him in my scepter again, and that doesn't work for reasons that are never really elaborated on. Mephiles is like, I absorbed your power, and now it doesn't work. And then he just fucking obliterates them. And then Shadow takes his fucking wrist rings off, and then goes berserk and obliterates him, and that's how it ends. And really, this whole thing mystifies me. This whole Shadow's rings restrict him has never come into play in any game prior to or since 06. You know where it comes from? Apparently it comes from Sonic X. Because that's something we want to reference. Why the fuck does it randomly come into play here for no fucking reason? Also, by the way, Shadow's theme, All Hail Shadow. I didn't touch much on the music yet. I don't like his world very much, which is Sonic's theme, but Shadow's theme, All Hail Shadow, I hate All Hail Shadow. It is an awful, awful, awful song. And I want you to know that.
Oh, but Silver's story is next. Don't you want to quit before you get that far?
Shut up! I'm finishing this! Oh Christ, what the hell do you want?
Hey, Darkness, what you doing?
Crackers?
Hey, take a look over there on the wall.
It's a shadow.
Yes, indeed it is.
Uh-huh. I got nothing to say. Let's go.
This world was devastated before I was born.
Die in a fire! Okay, that was probably really mean and uncalled for, but... Like, Silver just... Like, pisses me off so unbelievably much. Like, you don't have any clue how much I hate this guy. Like, he's like the worst fucking character I've ever seen. He's annoying, he's a waste of time, and he's completely unnecessary. And this whole... I'm here to save the future thing, Jesus Christ, man, it's just, he's all fucking melodramatic and shit, and the worst part is, he has, like, the worst plot hole intro I've ever seen in my life, because like, Shadow had 2, which was impressive, but Silver has 3, taking it up a notch.
A harsh, bleak place where we live in eternal darkness. Life is a struggle, and people live without hope.
Good!
How did this happen? No one will answer me directly.
Because you're an annoying
They
twit!
always point to the flames. These flames, they burn away at my world, destroying everything in their path. They come from an eternal life form that we cannot truly defeat. The flames of disaster known as Iblis.
Silver!
Blaze, what's wrong?
Are you fucking serious? What the hell is she doing here? Okay, Blaze isn't from the future. She's not. She's fucking not. And I've heard a lot of explanations for how she's in this game and how she's here. None of them make any sense. Alright? None of them. I don't care what you try to tell me. She shouldn't be here. Okay, if you know anything about Blaze from the Sonic Rush games, she shouldn't fucking be here. So there's the first plot hole of Silver's story. That was quick. Oh, there's a second one right here. How about the fact that Silver can fucking float indefinitely in this cutscene, whereas in gameplay he can't? There's another one. Oh, and that little, like, Super Saiyan dash thing? Yeah, that never happens. There's another one. And if you're saying, oh, he does get that move later in the game, well, for one, you have to buy that shit. And for two, he wouldn't have it now if he had to buy it later, and it's never that strong, and shut up, it's a fucking plot hole, eat a dick. So Silver's first level is Crisis City because you really wanted to do that level again. The only reason why Silver's story is a little fresher than the other two is that his gameplay is radically different from both Sonic and Shadow. See, the problem with the other two stories is that Sonic and Shadow's gameplay is very, very similar. There's a couple differences, but for the most part, they're basically the same. Silver's, on the other hand, is unique, which helps keep things fresh, I suppose, so you can kind of ignore the rehashed level issue, but it does wear on you after a while. And in addition, Silver's gameplay, because it's so different, comes with a whole nother basket of problems that I'm going to address as we go along. For one, the idea of Silver's gameplay is that he can, you know, move shit with his mind, which is fine, but one of the problems you run into is that you can't pick up enemies unless you stun them, which really doesn't make any goddamn sense when you honestly think about it. They probably did that to limit him so he wouldn't be, overpowered, which, fine, I guess, but he makes things float in cutscenes without a problem. He doesn't have to stun them then. Why now? All of a sudden now it's a huge issue. And the problem with Silver's combat is that it boils down to lifting up crates and throwing them at enemies. And then doing that again. And again. You're seeing a pattern here. That's all he fucking does. And it does get old after a while. And they try to mix it up with some different things, like bending steel girders down to use as springboards, which, by the way, if you were shooting for realistic physics, you should know, if he bent a steel girder down, it wouldn't bounce back up. It would stay bent because it's so dense. Thanks for that. Good job. But the other thing is that the crates that he uses, just so you don't run out of them, respawn in front of you and just blip back into existence, which I guess is really fucking convenient, but what the hell? Also, during this level, you get to play as Blaze, yet another character who shouldn't be in this game, who you get to play as, which, fine. And the worst part about it, and best, I guess, is that Blaze's gameplay is actually semi-competent. And by semi-competent, I mean it's fucking broken as shit, but it's less broken than the rest of the game, which is odd when you consider that you only get to play as her, I think, 3 times throughout the entire course of the game. What the hell? Like, you spend a lot of time making a character decent to play as, and you only play as her 3 times? Yeah, that's good. Why have Silver at all? Just make it Blaze or something. Like, it still wouldn't make any sense, but at least, you'd be having fun. The only issue I have with Blaze's gameplay is that her X attack, which is sort of like a homing attack, but not only is really unreliable, but is really spastic and can send you out of control. It's really hard to deal with, and I still don't fully understand how it works. It sort of does what it does when it wants to, and then doesn't. I have no idea how to explain this. She bounces off enemies and then does this twirl in the air, which you can't get out of, which leaves you open to an attack, which I hate. But then there's times where you bounce off multiple enemies with the same attack, and then they're all dead, and then it's no problem. I don't get this at all. What the fuck? Whatever. Anyway, so after you get done with that goddamn level, you fight Iblis, which is actually another unique boss in the game that nobody else fights. It's as good a time as any to mention that both Shadow and Silver have 2 unique boss fights, where Sonic only gets 1. So you give your title character a bunch of rehashed boss fights, but you give the other guys 2 unique ones. Yeah, that's fair. Anyway, this boss fight actually isn't that terrible, believe it or not. I mean, it boils down to just throwing things at him, but, it's more brute force than the other one. And at least in this case, unlike every other boss fight, it's not a waiting game. You can keep attacking him. Although he does kind of pick and choose when he takes damage. I don't understand this. Also, at some point, Blaze is like, hey, you should hit his armored head. That's his weak spot. I think his armored head might be one of the parts of him you don't want to hit, because it's armored, but sure, whatever works for you. So you beat him, and that's great, and Silver has a fucking spaz attack because, oh no, we'll never be able to beat him, and then Mephiles shows up, who says, hey, I know a way to stop this. And they're like, hey, no-mouth creepy guy, you seem legit, and we're just gonna follow you because you are in no way suspicious at all whatsoever. Yeah, and I'd count that as a plot hole, except that more leads into the fact that Silver is an incompetent moron rather than a straight-up plot hole. I legitimately believe he's supposed to be an idiot, so I can kind of believe that he believes that Mephiles is totally on the level here.
For the future.
So Mephiles takes Silver and Blaze to find the computer room, because that was necessary, and shows them the data he has, and shows them the Iblis trigger in his corrupted Chaos Emerald, because that's not suspicious whatsoever. And it's Sonic, and they're like, oh my god, we gotta kill that guy. And Mephiles is like, it's okay, I can travel through time, and we can do that. And I, again, really need to raise a question here. Does nobody in this group, at least Blaze, who seems like she knows what she's doing to a certain extent, question the fact this dude is not only suspicious as fuck without a mouth, but can just travel through time on a whim? Like, that's just normal. That's just okay. No, we don't have to question that at all. And I get that we're talking about a world where there's a blue hedgehog who can travel the speed of sound, and a silver hedgehog who can move stuff with his mind, so maybe time travel isn't that out there. But really, guys, you aren't gonna ask any fucking questions about this? This guy is suspicious as fuck to you. This is the most transparent villain I've ever seen. He doesn't even try to attempt to act normal. Like, he acts creepy as fuck, like, the whole time. You know, and you never raise a single question about him. You know, it's not like, you know, he looks creepy, he acts creepy, and he talks without a mouth. Oh no, we should totally buy what this guy is telling us. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so when he transports them through time, they get separated, which is really confusing because I still question how the fuck this time travel thing is supposed to work. Maybe you could argue that Mephiles intentionally separated them, but wouldn't that further inhibit his plans if they're separated? I mean, when he, you know, sent Shadow and Rouge into the future to screw with them, he didn't separate them. So why'd he separate the people he's supposed to be using to further his plans? This really doesn't make any goddamn sense. So Silver is in the jungle area, and my fucking Christ, Silver's movement speed is so brutal on the world map, I swear to fucking God. It takes forever to get anywhere, especially on this map. Oh my fucking God, move your ass.
For the future.
Jesus, I know he's supposed to be slow, but if you were gonna include a slow as fuck character, why'd you have to make the map so big? It's not like there's anything pretty to look at or to do. There's nothing here! God damn. Oh yeah, Silver can, like, make platforms come up with his mind, which, okay, that's cool, I guess, but he can only do it in certain spots, and I have no idea, you know, what limits this. It doesn't affect his, you know, bar at all, which, by the way, his energy bar is how they limit him in terms of his power, but it doesn't limit him with this, so what the fuck. And you go to the jungle area, which is the same area you did as Rouge. The only difference is that you can't cheat like you did with Rouge and fly over everything. No, you have to go through on foot, which is a lot more complicated than you'd think because this level is the most convoluted, confusing, poorly designed level in the entire fucking game, and yes, I genuinely mean that. The reason I say that is because it's so fucking confusing. Because of the way Silver's powers work, like, they sort of tried to build it around it so that you solve puzzles here, which, okay, great, but the problem is that you can sort of go around puzzles and then get lost and then take different paths, and you might say, hey, different paths, that's cool, except that it never feels like you're ever going the right direction, and you're never really sure where you're supposed to go, and you get to ride giant turtles, great. I mean, for God's sake, I just don't get this. And the best advice I can give is try to get to the highest level possible and stay there. It's way easier to get around from that direction. If you're on the ground level, you have to do this ridiculous puzzle with a giant ball, and you kind of have to do that when you're on the top level, but it's way easier there, whereas on the bottom you kind of have to use it as a platform, but not really. I don't fucking get it at all. It's retarded. And meanwhile, while all this is happening, Blaze is at Wave Ocean, playing Wave Ocean again because I really needed to go through the same level that I already went through as like 3 other goddamn characters. Oh wait, 4. Because thanks for that, game. It's not any different. Why are you continuously rehashing this fucking level? What is your goddamn problem? So, somehow after the jungle, Silver makes his way into town and finds Sonic the night that Eggman attacks, and he's like, oh, I finally found you. And then fucking Amy mistakes Silver for Sonic, and you know what? I can totally buy Shadow to a certain extent. Like, he's the wrong color. I know, but at least he kinda resembles Sonic at least a little bit. Just a little bit. You know, maybe there was a sun glare that day in Sonic Adventure 2 when she mistaked him for Sonic. But Silver looks nothing, and I mean nothing, like Sonic, so how the hell does she make that mistake again? And oh my god, what is she doing to him? Bad touch, Amy! Bad touch! Bad! So Amy apologizes for having Silver leave his mark, and she's like, oh, I'll help you find who you're looking for too, even though they're looking for the same person, running joke. And so they go into town, and then you have to fucking do a fucking town mission where you kill some Eggman robots in order to get the region to give you the pass to the desert. And I've noticed he keeps having to do that, which begs the question why he lets anyone in the desert, given the fact there's killer sand there that will totally murder your ass. So you go to the sand level after you're done with that, and the sand level is just as annoying as you'd expect, except for the fact, okay, get this, there are ball puzzles here. Silver's gameplay revolves around puzzle solving, but in this particular instance, it's retarded. Okay, there's 2 ball puzzles you have to work with. And the first one, you know, I noticed this because I was too busy playing with the fact that there's no friction on the top of these things, because physics and shit. The best advice I can give you for this first one is actually just to wait, because the direction the balls go and the fact they never stop rolling, sort of leads to your advantage, because they'll end up rolling into the holes on their own. If you wait long enough, you'll probably get like 5 or 6 in without touching them at all, and then you can just push them in yourself, the last few. So it's really easy that way, because the issue with this ball puzzle is you try to do it manually, you're liable to mess up, and the problem is that you only have 10 hits to get all the balls in, and maybe that doesn't sound too bad, but it can be pretty difficult. You get to play as Amy too, because that's fun, and by that I mean it's not at all. She's nowhere near as enjoyable as she was to play as in Sonic Adventure, and she can go invisible because she fucking can, and we're not even gonna question that, I guess. Whatever. She also has a double jump, which is way less useful than you think, because whenever you double jump, you lose all your forward momentum, so it's liable to get you killed if you're not used to it. She also seems to kill like every enemy in one hit with her hammer, and the problem is the hammer's kind of on a delay, so you have to be really careful when you play as Amy. But overall, you really don't want to be playing as Amy. And then the last part is another ball puzzle, and this ball puzzle in particular is pretty infamous on the basis that, well, it's annoying as fuck. And people like bitch about this way too much, honestly, because I didn't have that many issues with it when I first played the game. It's not that difficult. And in addition, people usually use this ball puzzle as a reason for why the physics are bad. And I tell you what, the physics have nothing to do with why this puzzle is annoying. The physics actually work fine. The problem is that the puzzle is needlessly difficult to begin with. But the issue is more that you really don't have much control over your direction and how hard Silver hits the ball. I mean, you kind of do, but it's really hard to line up properly. And by really difficult, I mean basically impossible. Because the issue is not only do you have to worry about your angle, which is difficult to line up to begin with because of the way the game works, but you also have to worry about how hard he's hitting it, and you control that by holding down the push button. And that is way less reliable than it sounds. And most people probably ended up hitting it way too hard or way too soft, and again, you only have 10 shots to hit it. And of course, there's, bottomless pits that the ball can fall and you have to restart. And if you're having that many issues with it, there's actually an exploitable glitch you can do with Silver that can be used to go through the tops of doors, which is great. So you can skip the whole thing, no problem. And you can also use this glitch to examine other parts of the level you aren't supposed to be in, like the part that Shadow ran in, because they rehash the whole thing and load parts of the level that you don't even use, which, maybe not doing that would have limited load time, Sega. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Anyway, you get done with that, and then you find Sonic, and he's like, I'm gonna kill you, and this is the most hilarious goddamn boss fight in the game. You can't grab Sonic like you think, because it's no use, I guess. But, what you can do is grab every single piece of furniture around and wreck his shit, because Sonic has no invincibility frames. So if you grab like everything around you and just destroy his ass, you'll beat him in a fraction of a second. It's retarded. So Silver beats up on Sonic, Amy protects him, and Amy's like, hey, if I had to choose between the world and Sonic, I'd choose Sonic because I'm in love or whatever. And Silver's like, oh, I'm sad now, and he goes off to be all emo somewhere.
For the future.
Where Blaze finds him, and he's like, is it the right thing to do to kill Sonic to save the future? And she's like, well, we have to take this chance and everything. Why, stop being a pussy. And Silver's like, oh, okay. And she calls him naive, and I have no idea how he's being naive. He's just questioning his actions, which, I would argue, is more of a redeemable factor for Silver, because he's not just being a merciless killer. He's, questioning, am I really doing the right thing here? And that's a sort of a respectable trait to a certain extent, and you will never hear me say another good word about Silver ever again. I just want you to know that. So they decide that since Sonic is searching for Eggman, how they know that is anyone's guess, they should go to White Acropolis, to find him, and then you get to play as Silver in White Acropolis, and play as Blaze in White Acropolis, and there's nothing special of note there, because it's not even a puzzle level, you just kind of run through and throw stuff at enemies. So, there's nothing really to mention about it. It's pretty pointless, to be perfectly frank. But then you get to fight the Egg Genesis again, which, great. Thanks for that. I really wanted to do that again. And you just throw stuff at it, and it dies. It's pretty pathetic. And then, you know, I thought this was a fucking plot hole. And then I realized, no it's not. It's not a plot hole at all. It's actually a sensible course of action. See, right after this, Silver finds the blue emerald that Sonic had that he got from Elise. And I'm like, how did he get it here? But then I realized that Sonic put it down when Eggman sent him into the future, so it's stuck there, and it serves to reason that maybe Eggman was using it to power one of the Egg Genesises, whatever. And so, when he destroyed it, the emerald is indestructible, so, you know, it survived the blast, and he picks it up. So, this isn't a plot hole. This is actually reasonable writing, for once. This is how he got the emerald. So, okay, so he gets the emerald, so he has it, which, great. But meanwhile, while this is happening, Amy's looking for Sonic and Eggman's base, and Elise is escaping on her own, just walking the fuck out. Did he not lock the door? How did she escape? So Amy helps her get out, and then you guys do a town mission as Amy where you kill a bunch of robots, then Elise goes back to the palace and gets kidnapped again right away. I thought I retired that counting gag. I didn't think I'd have to use it again. I completely forgot that she got captured again during Silver's story. While Sonic is in the future. For fuck's sake. How many times can you lose and regain a prisoner? This is ridiculous. So Silver and Blaze get back from White Acropolis with no information, and they bump into Mephiles, and Silver's like, hey, who is the Abyss Trigger? Can you tell us anything? And Mephiles is still acting creepy as fuck and asking why that matters, and you should still seriously just kill him, because Mephiles is just too lazy to do it itself, I guess. That's foreshadowing. So they're like, yeah, let's go to the train station to chase down the Abyss Trigger, kick his ass. And you gotta sneak in, because the game all of a sudden goes all Metal Gear on you and expects you to do this town mission where you sneak past, which looks way, way, way harder than it actually is, because the guard AI is completely fucking broken, and their line of sight is, like, next to nothing, so sneaking past really isn't a goddamn problem, like, at all. So you do Radical Train, and at first I thought this was another huge goddamn plot hole, because Radical Train, again, this is being done at the same time as both Shadow and Sonic doing Radical Train when they're chasing down the train at the same time. That was a huge plot hole. But Silver's not chasing a train at all, so you could possibly argue that Silver is running through this level right after both Sonic and Shadow, right after the train. He's tailing right behind them. So it sort of stands to reason that maybe that makes sense. Sort of. Whatever. So Silver finds Sonic and almost kills him, and Elise gets captured like she did before. I'm not going to count that because I already counted it once. And then Shadow shows up and he's like, I'm Shadow, not Mephiles, you moron. And Shadow is actually a little bit harder than Sonic for a couple reasons. One, he actually has more moves and actually has invincibility frames. Two, there's less stuff to grab to throw at Shadow, and it sort of devolves into this game of Ring Around the Rosie where you run around the middle of the map picking up the never-ending respawning barrels to chuck at Shadow, and eventually you'll put him down. It's not a hard fight by any means, it's just tedious. So yeah, Silver gets kicked in the head again, and they go to the past with their Chaos Emeralds, because they both use Chaos Control at the same time for no reason. And then you get to do the fucking lab level as Silver, where you're chasing down Iblis, and you play a Shadow randomly for no goddamn reason. Don't know why that is, and that's fun, sort of, for all of 5 seconds you do it. No, seriously, you only play a Shadow for like 30 seconds, I don't get it. This level has some puzzle solving, but the problem is, I didn't mention this about Silver's gameplay, but his glide thing is actually really exploitable. Similar to Omega's, but not nearly as stupid. See, Silver has a limit on how much he can glide. It's limited by, again, his power gauge, like I mentioned before. But the issue here is that if you rapidly press the A button as opposed to hold it down, you drain the gauge a lot slower, yet you can go a lot farther. this breaks entire sections of the game where you can just completely skip over what would be challenging puzzles. It's such an exploitable bug. I would call it a bug. Like it's not an exploit. It's a glitch. They shouldn't allow you to do this sort of thing because it's such an unbelievable problem because it allows you to skip what would be annoying puzzles. And you know, you might be saying, well, I don't want to do the puzzles. Well, yeah, but the point was to have you do the puzzles. The point of the game and the point of Silver's gameplay was to be a puzzler. And if you can continuously skip over puzzles because of bugs or glitches or whatever it may be, that is a big fucking problem. So you track down Iblis, and then Elise's dad seals the flames within Elise. Why he doesn't seal it without it inside himself and then dies with the flames is anyone's guess. Of course, if we're going by this game's logic, when a person dies with a bliss inside them, a bliss gets released anyway, so I question what the whole point of this other than to delay the inevitable, since Elise is never going to know that the flames are inside her until it's way, way, way too late. But the thing is, the flames also get released by crying, and I can't even tell you what a massive fucking humongous plot hole this is. How can you expect a 6-year-old girl to never cry? Ever. I can't imagine how that's even remotely possible. She's 6. If she just found out her dad died, of course she's gonna cry. And it's not like she can hear him or anything. She's unconscious, so how does she know that she made this promise to her dad to never cry? I just don't understand this. So they leave the lab, which I'm pretty sure is supposed to be right outside Soliana Castle. I think they're using that map. That's what this looks like to me. Not that the lab would be under that, but whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so they're like, whatever, you're leaving behind the scepter. You know, you've seen this all before, but the part you didn't see is right after Silver uses Chaos Control to open the rift in time, so, Shadow and him can travel back to the future. He's like, hey, I'm gonna leave this Chaos Emerald with you, so you'll have it, so that you'll have it to give to Sonic in the future, so Sonic can lose it so I can have it to give to you in the past. And Silver, by leaving that emerald, you fucking opened the biggest fucking plot hole in the fucking game. What is wrong with you? Because the issue with this emerald is that by it being stuck in this time loop, it is literally impossible for any previous Sonic game to ever have occurred ever. They can't happen without that emerald. They can't. They can't happen. It's not possible. And this fucking lab thing took place well before the other games. So at some point the emerald got stuck in this time loop. And at some point Elise just had the emerald. So there's no way for Sonic and his friends to ever have the emerald. I think, unless it all happened, but then they went back in time and had the emerald. Except, maybe they had the emerald up until some point when Silver did it, but Silver would never do it if Elise didn't have the emerald in the first place, so she had to have had the emerald from some point. So how the hell did the time loop get started in the first place? And then I have to raise the question that, again, none of the previous games could have happened except maybe the first one of the games with multiple emeralds that are non-canon, whatever. But, particularly the Sonic Adventure games, where the emeralds play a major focus with the plot, all 7 of them. One of them is always the blue one, which is the one that Elise happens to have. And you might be saying, well, maybe this game took place before all the other Sonic games, which I would totally be, up for, saying, except for the fact that Shadow's fucking in it, so that's not possible either. Also, Knuckles is here, and Knuckles didn't become an enemy, or, and rival and friend or whatever of Sonic until Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which also had the emeralds clearly fixated as 7. Shit, you turn them into Super Emeralds to go fucking Hypersonic, which is also not fucking possible, because fucking Silver, with this fucking emerald, giving it to fucking Elise, so she has it, so it's stuck in a never-ending time loop, so nobody ever can have 7 emeralds, and what the fuck? Silver just screwed up the entire continuity of the entire Sonic series.
For the future.
And then everyone wonders why I hate this fucking guy. So, Silver gets back to the future and meets up with Blaze, and without actually telling her what's happening, they're like, we have to go save the princess instead, even though he never really explained to her why, but she's just goes along with it because Silver's a trustworthy source, I guess. And then I don't even know what's happening here. All of a sudden, you run into these guards who are like, hey, we're really bad at our jobs, and we need you to protect this chick because she knows the secret. Okay, and then you gotta protect her from fucking Eggman robots. you want to talk about busy work. Welcome to the most pointless mission in the entire game.
For the future.
What the hell, guys? I have no idea. You do it, and then they're like, hey, Sonic went to the Kingdom Valley, but you have to do the trials first because we're dicks about this. And riddle me this, why are Silver's trials different than Sonic's? You know, if you have 3 trials, you have 3 trials, but do you have 6? Do you have more than 6? Do you pick and choose based on the person? Do you just make this shit up as you go along? Usually when you have 3 trials to gain access to an area, you have 3. Just the 3. So you do the trials, the first one, test the fucking friendship, because that's good. And they put fucking Blaze in a box and you have to protect her from a Bliss spawn. Okay, for 1 hour they're a Bliss spawn. For 2, they put Blaze in a box? That's pretty jacked up. These people are fucking out of their minds. So the next test is a test of memory, which is bullshit because it's not memory, it's a test of questionnaires. And it's just answering really obvious questions, 3 questions to be precise. But the thing that really pisses me off about this stupid mission is that you can't get above a D rank if you read all the questions, which is funny because I'm pretty sure it's not possible to continue the mission unless you read the questions. You know, you can't answer the questions without knowing what the questions are. But if you take the time to read them, then you waste too much time and it gives you a fucking D rank. It's bullshit. So basically what you have to do is play the mission once, get a D rank, and then remember the questions, and then... Oh, I guess this is really the test of memory, isn't it? Except that you pass without actually doing that. Whatever, I don't care. Last one's the test of courage, and the idea is that you have to beat all the enemies with no objects to throw, which is a real dick move. But if you're asking, well, how does Silver, fight then? Well, I forgot to mention this, but one of the only cool things about Silver's power is that he can actually grab enemy missiles and throw them back at enemies, which I have to admit, I kind of like that function. And the thing about this mission is that almost every single enemy has missiles to throw. So, there's your fucking ammunition. So you do the trials, and then you go to Kingdom Valley, and you save Sonic's ass from enemies he could have defeated easily on his own.
For the future.
And you go to fucking Kingdom Valley and do the Kingdom Valley shit. And this is arguably the best Silver level, and I only say that on the basis that there's actually a lot of interesting puzzles here. I like the idea of bending bars with your mind. That's kind of cool. And, you move a lot of objects, and you use these pendulums to break stuff. And it only angers me, because I tell you what, I wouldn't hate Silver so much if his gameplay was decent. And had they had more time, he could have had a lot of interesting mechanics. There's a lot you can do with Silver's powers. And it's clear with this particular level that they really wanted to do more. Of course, the level's a buggy mess. And by the way, did I mention that Silver's powers cause the worst fucking slowdown you will ever see in this entire game? I didn't mention that before. That's always good, thanks for that. So, yeah, you play as Sonic for a few moments. Again, why? I already did both Sonic and Shadow Stories. Why you have me play as them? And then you play as Silver. You never play as Blaze, though, which is odd. Again, most of it is business as usual. It's just a really lengthy, annoying level. That's my big issue with Silver's gameplay. It takes so long to get anywhere. And it's just tedious for the most part. Even the few times where the puzzles are kind of interesting, you just get bored. Because nothing is happening. You're doing the same things over and over again. Oh, look, enemies. Let me throw stuff at them. Oh, look, there's some more enemies. Let's throw stuff at them. It's all you do. Even if you go to the shop and buy some Silver powers, like you really want to. Of course, the game forces you to do that at some point, which is real nice. But, and buying Silver's powers, really, it doesn't really enhance the gameplay experience at fucking all. And it's only gonna serve to annoy you. It's a waste of time. That's all Silver's gameplay is, a waste of fucking time. And missed opportunity. A waste of potential. What are you doing? Why am I playing this game? Oh right, I'm a glutton for punishment. Let's move on. So, yeah, the egg carrier crashes. So then, fucking Silver's like, hey, no, we could change this. You've seen this all before. So then Silver and Blaze go to the future through the same portal. Again, really, I don't get how this portal system works. Is there like a select screen when you go through the portal and you can just sit there and be like, hey, I can just choose my time period. It's just normal. Like how do you fucking control this? I don't understand this at all. But they go to the future and then you do Flame Core, which actually isn't that eventful whatsoever, and, you know, whatever. Great. And you know what's weird? You don't play as Blaze here, even though she's with Silver. I don't get that at all, because there's plenty of times where you could have played as Blaze, but you don't. He's just Silver throwing stuff. Again, you know, what else is new? The only thing that's different is that there's this one part where you find the power of Iblis, I guess, and you gotta destroy it by jumping on it after you dodge some waves, but isn't that shit hot? How is he standing on that? I mean, you know, I guess at that point I could question the logic of being near molten lava for your entire life, like most of the known world is, and considering lava releases noxious fumes, how does anyone survive? You know, the heat is one thing, but the fumes is a pretty big deal. But then you gotta talk about fucking, you know, stepping on the power of oblivion. You know, isn't that like the sun? I mean, come on, really? So he just breaks it with his mind powers, and then you go to the end of the level, and then you fight another form of Iblis, the other unique boss that Silver has. And once again, all you do is throw stuff. The only difference is that he's at a really long range. The idea is that you gotta keep him from destroying your platform by throwing back giant boulders at him, which is actually pretty easy when you figure that out. Also, he does this thing where if he gets really close to you and he can't break it, he'll get down and make a funny face. And then you jump on his face and then use your power on his face. I have nothing to say to that. The ultimate power of hell and fire and flames makes a funny face at you, and you jump on his face and use your power on his face. Yeah, there is not a single thing I can say to make that any funnier. So you beat Iblis, and then Silver's like, I will use this ceremony thingy to use this power to seal Iblis inside me, but he's not accepted because he's a pussy. So Blaze is like, oh, I'll do it. And then she does. And then why do they need 2 emeralds for this? Because the king did it with 1, but whatever. She seals it inside herself, and then she says, you gotta seal me in a different dimension, which I don't fully understand, because if it's sealed inside her, like, Blaze is pretty hardcore. I think she could handle that. But, and then, you know, she says use chaos control to seal me in a different dimension, which I guess is their pseudo explanation for how Blaze got to a different dimension, but how does she not know Sonic over there, and why does she, you know, not even question the fact that she has the Flames of Disaster, and considering she's a princess in the other dimension, that makes no fucking sense. But, you know, Silver won't do it, but she still goes to a different dimension somehow anyway, or she disintegrates. I don't know how that fucking works on the basis that Elise didn't disintegrate when she took the flames in. I don't get this ending at all. Also, by the way, I should probably point out that Silver and Blaze took 2 emeralds with them to the future, which is a problem, because how do they not have emeralds in the past then? Except that when Sonic and Shadow made a portal to the past, they took emeralds from the future to the past. So where are these emeralds are fucking... You know, I'm not even going to try to figure this out. It's ridiculous. You can't take these emeralds all over the place. Now you got duplicate emeralds or something, and then you got emeralds that are in the future, and there's missing emeralds. Can you still... Are there still 7? I don't fucking know. Maybe, sort of. Why the fuck? I don't get this at all. Whatever. And then Silver's fucking ending happens, and it's really bittersweet, and then you get his awesome theme music, which is like the best thing about Silver.
For the future.
And seriously, I love this fucking song. It is so fucking corny, but it's by far the best music in the whole game. And, you know, you can't sit there and tell me you don't like it, because it's awesome techno autotune crap, but it's still fucking awesome. And I really like it, alright?
Hey, Darkness, I've got a surprise for you.
Huh? What's up?
I'm gonna use your shadow too.
No, you're not.
are you talking about?
See, originally what I was going to do with this entire review when I wrote it is that I was going to do this thing where you use my shadow, like Mephiles used shadow, and, you know, make an evil doppelganger in the form of Mr. Sanity, and I'd have to fight my evil past self or whatever. But then I decided not to because, well, I'm the writer of this review and I can do whatever the fuck I want. Really, the whole, sort of a scripting skits thing, it can be used and it's funny when it's done well, but there's times where it takes over a review and I didn't want to have that happen, so I decided to not let you do that.
Are you breaking the fourth wall? But I had you locked in your room.
Well, you really don't have any powers, you're a doll.
And I used my power to make you play that game.
They won't let me play it for that long. No, but right now you're not so much stuffed animal as you are a chew toy.
Stuffed animal? What are you talking? Hey, unhand me! Release me! I am the ultimate evil! Let me go! No! No! Not the dog! No! Don't do... No! Unhand me, you foul beast! I will shoot you! One day! Oh, you'll regret this!
And here we are. Yeah, it's surreal being back here again. Getting ready to close out yet another review of this fucking thing. It's just such a fucking, it's so hard, it's so easy to explain yet so hard to explain. Because, like, the reason I did this wasn't just that I was unhappy with the previous reviews, I was, but the other thing that really bothers me, like, usually I give no fucks about this sort of thing, but honestly, I do try to respect other people's point of views on things, even when they're wrong. But this is one of those times where, like any other game. No, just how? Someone let me count I've been counting the ways. I don't get it, and I thought maybe, I guess my thinking was if I actually went into really great detail and spelled out exactly why everything is wrong with the game, maybe more people would listen. But looking back, that's probably not going to happen, but at the very least, you all enjoy my suffering, so there's always that.
Yeah, sure, you say that now, but you're gonna re-review it again in like a year anyway.
Shut the hell up! So, let's just get right into this, because we're in the home stretch. It can't possibly get any worse from here anyway, right? So, the last story starts out with Mephiles standing there all creepy, and really, this fucker, I'm gonna get to him, alright? I haven't gone into detail why this guy drives me nuts, because a lot of people were like, oh, Mephiles is so cool. He's the only good character from the game, which is horseshit. But we're not gonna get into that just yet. And then we see, Sonic and Elise walking in the field, and they see fucking shiny emeralds, they look at it, and Mephiles shows up, and... You just literally killed him. It's all bad enough that you disrespected your mascot this entire time. By giving him only one unique boss fight and making his gameplay arguably the most boring out of all of them. But now you straight up fucking kill him like a bitch without even putting up a goddamn fight. You, Sega, you can kiss my ass, because no, you don't do that. You don't do that. Jesus. So then, you know, even though she never cried when her own father died, she's gonna cry over this motherfucker who she's only known for like, what, 2 days, if that, and you know, the whole thing was make her cry, so she released the Flames of Disaster, and now Mephiles is gonna use all 7 Chaos Emeralds. Wait, what? All 7 Chaos Emeralds to fuse with Iblis to become Solaris. Let's take a step back for a second, because now we're going to get into Mephiles, and I really need to talk about this. But for one, before we really go into that, I want to point out that he has all 7 Chaos Emeralds here, which is motherfucking impossible. He can't have them. He can't. For one, when did he go get them? For two, how does he have them? Because let's think back. It's not just the blue emerald that's an issue here. We already talked about the blue emerald, which caused the entire space-time continuum to explode. But there's also another one. There's the silver emerald, which isn't technically trapped in a time loop, I suppose, but it is removed from the timeline, because think about it. Silver got the silver emerald. I see what you did there. When he went back to, and he got it from the king, and the king gave it to him, and then Silver took it with him all the way into the future. And as far as we know, Silver still has it there. So it's not in the current timeline right now. It's far in the far distant future, because it disappeared. So that means we're down to 5 emeralds that are in total. Oh, God, this is dumb. The point is, without even trying to figure out where all the other emeralds are, there's no way he could have all 7. It's not possible. And you might be saying, well, he has OP time travel powers, and you know he could you know fucking have all 7 then. And okay, sure, but let's talk about Mephiles' big plan here. All right, Mephiles' big plan is to release Iblis by making Elise cry so he can merge with Iblis and become Solaris again. Okay, fine. But why does he have to release Iblis at all? For one, the start of his plan was to get Silver and Blaze evolved and have them kill Sonic so they'd make Elise cry. But if it's so easy for Mephiles to just do it himself, because he does it right here without even so much as a fragrant hint of resistance from Sonic, then why did he have to get Silver and Blaze to do his dirty work to begin with? What was the point? What was the reason to get them involved? If anything, getting someone as incompetent and fucking stupid as Silver involved would only hinder his plan more and risk that it would fall apart, you know, like it actually did, because Silver realized the truth. Now, how about that? Or how about the fact that, you know, why does he need to release Iblis at all? Because as we can clearly see from the future, you know, Silver's future, where Mephiles talked to Silver at, Iblis is already free. He's right here! So, someone explain to me why Mephiles has to go back in time and release him to merge with him if he's already released in the future. And if you want to bring up the argument that, hey, well, what about the fact that, you know, maybe he can only merge with Iblis, you know, before Iblis takes form. And okay, fine, but how about the fact that he can go through time to any point, at any time, anywhere, as far as we can tell. The dude's basically omnipotent. Why doesn't he just go back to whenever the Flames were actually released? Why go through all this trouble if you can just do that? I fail to see, you know, why Mephiles is such a competent and you know awesome villain when he only takes steps to make his plan far harder than it actually is. Really? And I don't even get why he wants to merge with Iblis again to become Solaris, and then what break down the space-time continuum? What for? Because that's what Solaris is doing. The entire fabric of space-time is breaking the fuck apart. You know, every time, everywhere is dissolving. I don't understand why he's doing it. If he's the god of time and the sun, wouldn't his job be to keep that shit from doing the exact thing it's doing right now? So, Sonic is dead, and all of a sudden, all of Sonic's friends, including Eggman, are in the same fucking spot. Just conveniently, because of all the places they could have been hurled, all across the corrupted space-time. Oh, they all showed up at the exact same fucking spot because of the superpower of teamwork or some crazy shit like that. I don't know. Even Silver's here. He's not even in the same time period as them right now, but he's there because plot convenience, I don't fucking know. He must be here to save the future!
For the future.
So Eggman goes on this tangent about how Mephiles played them all for fools and all he wanted to do was make Elise cry. And I've already explained how his entire plan was fucking stupid. Go figure why Eggman can't figure out why that was dumb. But anyway, Sonic is dead and, you know, everything's pretty bleak because, you know, time is falling apart and everything's going to disappear and they're all going to die because they're faced with the power of a wrathful god and, you know, it's all very bleak. But then Silver is like, wait! I am here to save the future! And he's like, Elise can use her power if we gather the emeralds and wish hard enough or some crazy shit like that. We can bring Sonic back and save the day. And does some people like believe this motherfucker? You know, Shadow is like the first one on this tangent with Silver, like, oh wait, we can totally do this, you know, if we bring Sonic back. But Shadow's the one who is blatantly see how unbelievably incompetent Silver is. He kicked him in the back of the skull. So, pray tell, why does he all of a sudden think Silver's plan is legit? It's dumb. Since when can the emeralds bring someone back to life? That has never been one of their powers. But all of a sudden, oh, they can do that because Chaos Emeralds, I don't fucking know. But now we're gonna get to the final act, the final level of this game where you play as all the characters so far, except Blaze, because fuck you. And it's just more rehashed fucking levels. Again, really, you know, you couldn't do something unique. I mean, we're talking about the fabric of space-time collapsing. The emeralds could have been hurled any which way. If Solaris didn't keep them, why he didn't escapes me. But they're just conveniently in levels they've already been to. Because rehashed, I don't fucking know. The only big difference between these levels and the ones you've already played is, one, you're normally playing with a different character that you wouldn't have normally played with in these levels, like Tales in Crisis City, for example. But also, there's these weird space-time rifts that suck you in, and if you touch them, you die. It doesn't matter how many rings you have, you fucking die. Which is bullshit, because these things are the most mind-numbingly annoying things in the world, and that's the only reason why this final level is difficult, because if you touch these things, you're dead, and they're placed in the worst possible spots just to screw you. And even with these things, playing as most of the characters is fairly easy, with the sole exception of both Silver and Shadow. Go figure, right? Silver's difficult because he is by far the slowest character. By a fucking long shot.
For the future.
And it just takes forever to get anywhere. And normally you can press these eagle statues to stop the space-time rifts from happening, because they're just here. Just let it go. I don't fucking know. But they're so far apart on Silver's level that it makes them so difficult. It doesn't help that Silver's camera screws with you and you fall into the deadly sand one last time. Thanks for that, game. Love you too. And Shadow's level is difficult because they're placed in the most awkward fucking spots just to screw you. And of course they suck you in, like I said, which makes this whole thing way more difficult than it has to be. And again, touch them once you die. It's bullshit. But eventually you'll get through it because, you know, why not? And then they have the emeralds and they use them to bring Sonic back somehow, because that's a thing. I don't know even how this makes any logical sense. And then Elise, no. No. Why you gotta do that? Why? Why? So after that disturbing moment, Sonic is supersonic and back again, and then he uses his superpowers to make the Shadow and Silver super, because they can do that too, I guess. I don't know. But, hey, someone explain something to me. How is Sonic super? How? He needs rings to do that. You might say, oh, he must have rings. He can't, because Mephiles killed him. Sonic can only die when he doesn't have rings. So, why is he super if he doesn't have rings? How is he super? How is he super? How is he super? So here's the final battle with Solaris. And I fucking hate Solaris as a villain because one, it's dumb. For two, it's dumb because I don't get his motivations. There's no motivation for what Solaris is doing. There's no purpose behind his being. He doesn't even talk. Mephiles wouldn't shut up. So pray tell, why doesn't Solaris speak ever? Mephiles is clearly the intellectual side of Solaris, so why doesn't he talk? Why doesn't he explain why he's doing what he's doing? You might say, oh, he must be pissed about that, hardcore secret super, lab thing they did in the past. And, okay, fine, but, is that really a reason to break down the entire fabric of space-time? I don't get it. I don't get it. And it's really hard for me to find a villain convincing or awestruck with it if I don't even know why it's doing what it's doing. So, you fight Solaris, and admittedly, this is probably the best boss fight in the game, not that that's saying much. But it's only because there's actually some level of strategic playing here, because Solaris has two parts. One introduces you to the mechanics, and the second part is actually you taking advantage of them, because the idea is that you can switch between Sonic, Shadow, and Silver at any time, and each one attacks in a different manner, and Solaris actually blocks certain attacks at different points in time, and you have to figure out which attacks he's vulnerable to. Now, Sonic rams into him, Shadow shoots Chaos Spears, and Silver just throws shit, because that's all the motherfucker's good for. And, I have to say, this is arguably a little bit interesting, especially in the second form, when it seems completely random in terms of the order you're supposed to attack him with. You just have to figure out which one he's vulnerable to. It keeps you switching and keeps you on your toes, trying to figure out what he's weak against at any given moment. My problem with this is that there's never a clear indication of what he's weak against. It's just guesswork. And the first form, I think, has a set order. Whenever I did it, it was Silver, Shadow, Sonic. I don't know whether it changes or not, but for his final form, it seemed complete fucking random. I also have a serious problem with how the powers work. See, Shadow can shoot a bunch of little Chaos Spears, but those never seem to do anything. Sonic, if he doesn't charge up his charge the whole way, doesn't do shit, so you have to make sure you do it. Why they let you even charge without charging fully is beyond me. And then Silver is the most broken one of all. Not broken in the good way, by the way, because the motherfucker has to throw back rocks that Solaris throws at him. Because, again, all he's good for. And if you throw at the wrong time, which is normally all the time, the rocks you throw will hit the rocks that are coming back at you, and you won't get a hit on Solaris. So you have to kind of move while you throw them. It's so weird.
For the future.
Also, when you get hit, you lose rings, which is bullshit, because you've never lost rings in super forms before. You don't lose rings when you get hit as a super form. That has been a staple in the Sonic series. You are invincible when you're super, so why the hell do you lose rings when you get hit? I understand losing rings over time, because that's always been the case, but not when you get hit. They probably did it to make the boss fight a little more challenging, because since there's 3 characters to switch between, well, there's more rings to use. So you almost never have to worry about running out of rings, unless, of course, you take a hit. So I guess that was their thought, but way to fuck the game mythos yet again. Not that they've given a shit up until this point, so I'm not sure why I'm fucking surprised. And you beat Solaris, and then that's the end. That's the end. It's over.
Look at these.
This is Solaris, the flame of hope.
It's so beautiful.
When the flame has grown large enough, our world will change. Solaris will allow us to control time and move through history. People will be able to rectify past mistakes and avoid bitter fate.
Will we be able to see Mama?
Yes, Elise. We'll both be able to see your mother once again.
This is where everything began. Who knew such a tiny flame could bring such devastation?
Smokey the Bear knew, you moron! Really? This ending just pisses me off. You know, I'm sorry, did I make you think that I wasn't done yet? Okay, I do need to talk about the ending. In the ending, they blow out Solaris' flame, so Solaris can never come into being, so there's never any Mephiles or Iblis or anything like that.
Solaris will never exist.
But it makes it so that the game never happened. Don't you just love plots like that? None of these plot holes that I've counted, none of them really matter because none of it ever occurred. Ugh. You know what? And people say, well, then it doesn't matter. But they had to have happened at some point in some timeline. They did happen when Solaris' flame wasn't blown out. So they still don't make any sense because it does happen in some timeline, you know, because there's multiple timelines, I guess, now. Whatever. The point is that even if they don't happen anymore, the fact that they happened at some point means that they're bullshit. And just this game's entire storyline. It's like they knew it was dumb, so at the end they're like, well, none of it ever happened, so it doesn't matter. You know what? It does fucking matter. Because fuck you, alright? You can't fucking do that. Jesus. This story, it just pisses me off, you know? It's just dumb. I mean, I guess it could have been good had it been written better, but, I mean... I'm almost willing to say, you know, it's the worst story in a Sonic game I've ever played. You know, but actually, that's not true, now that I think about it.
Oh, but Darkness, don't you want to review the game with the worst plot in the Sonic universe ever?
What are you talking about? Nope, already reviewed that one.
One step